It's finally time. Welcome back to the SMITE Content Creator Cup Grand Finals. It's a best of 5 between two very talented teams that have battled it out for months, and they finally find themselves here on Championship Sunday, of course, playing for charity and having a whole lot of fun. Gore Miser and Anthony Malum with me here on the desk. Gore, you and I just got out of
Chaos.
Peak SMITE. Peak SMITE, I'll call
sure.
in our third place match.
It was Peak SMITE. Pure energy. You get fun God picks. You get rebuttals, replies on said God pick is again really enjoyable to watch. I'll admit, sitting here, the last time I think any of us sat in this spot,
I have a guess in my head.
Myth broke the
That was
thing.
not my guess,
Oh.
but I like that one. I like that one a lot.
And so I'm
was
like,
it that
good
one or
guess,
that
good
one?
guess, good
Was it
guess.
the middle one?
He broke both.
Yeah, at some point
That's
or another
impressive.
he broke the
Yeah,
others.
no, well, that's so the glass that's here now.
Yeah.
And you see how like it's more uniform. That's because we had to replace both of them because he broke them both. And so
A myth diff.
Right.
I'm
the
just
myth
doing
diff
my
on the
best
disc.
to not like do that, you know.
Got it. Malum, we've seen some good competition here this weekend. Yeah, be careful on the top
I know,
there.
now I'm a little nervous.
No, see, because like y'all have like you have an extra bar, and that's fine. Like that has support.
Oh,
This
you're right.
doesn't have like the crossbar.
You're
so
Gentle.
it's a little more
Gentle.
wigglier.
You do have to be careful. Let's take a look back at our 4-team bracket that we had going into the SCCC Grand Finals weekend. It is Team Ruedy with the 2-1 over Castic yesterday that lands them in this best-of-5 Grand Finals. And then the 2-0 for Team Davy, which brings them right alongside Team Ruedy. That's the final match we have got to play. Anthony, Davy has predicted a 5-0 weekend all weekend long. Do you think they have what it takes to get it done here in the Grand Finals?
I think if you're going to call it, you've got to come out sprinting and ready for it. I heard Davey back there talking. He
Yeah.
said, all right, I'm going to get a snooze so that I'm a bit rejuvenated and ready to go. And as he was watching the previous matchup, I saw him right before we got into Game 3, before it got locked down. And the reaction was, oh, man, come on, this isn't what we're here for. So now I'm expecting Team iDavy to come out. And if they're not sprinting, then they're not playing lore accurate in my brain.
Yeah, there's maybe no other team more desperate for a fast 3-0 than the team made entirely of Spaniards and an English soccer fan. We'll see if they can get it done
And
here in the Grand Finals.
one Scotsman who hates England and
Right.
is rooting for Spain.
rooting
Very
for Spain.
specific from Davey as an input.
That's right. But here's Team Davy. Gore Miser, obviously Davy, maybe the most recognizable player on this team. I think Aim Blue has had a pretty good weekend here so far. What are your thoughts on the roster?
This team dominated in Europe. They came in yesterday. They looked really good the entire time. Again, a couple of bumps maybe in the road to get to their victory, but they are a team that is confident and has a good reason to be confident. Like they've got the backing, and it makes sense for the way they've played to feel the way they do. And given the fact that I think we joked about it a little bit yesterday, but like Davey just swapped literally to the right, I
Rolls
guess,
in his lane, right.
And everybody else here has been just on that cusp. But like they are all incredibly good players. It is really a very difficult team to try and take down.
I'm wondering if right now it's 2 o'clock Eastern time. We're gonna
Yeah,
see
they
a
got an
total.
hour.
We're gonna see a total pivot at 3 o'clock. About an hour from now, this team is just gonna nosedive off in their potential. Malum, what have you seen from Team Davy here this weekend?
iDavy's been the team that's impressed me the whole way through. As I was watching content come throughout the months it's been played, my kind of team to watch initially, I was really looking at Team Seagull. iDavy went up against Team Seagull and brought them down, and while it was a close matchup, it felt like iDavy was just constantly the team to beat in EMEA, and they've been the same here. Ragna has been really the big standout for me.
Yep.
Ragna essentially is the reason Charybdis, Charybdis was good coming into the Content Cup, but the mini meta that has unfolded has become Ragna making Charybdis look unbeatable, and everyone saying, oh, I gotta prioritize my Charybdis.
Yeah.
And then Aim Blue, as we just saw on the MLF, really was a big stand-up for me. Because Aim Blue was the player, everyone's been picking on Gray for Team Castic. But Team iDavy, they were picking on Aim Blue. They were saying, if anyone's feeding, it's Aim Blue. And then Aim Blue brings out the MLF and goes absolutely ridiculous.
There you go.
Oh, man. I got to tell you, Ragna this morning on Twitter was spitting hot flames about the matchup today. So
I'm sure.
it's a full sprint in that green room.
I will say, I think that. Here you go. And I'm sure a good portion of the world behind that Spanish flag there as well. I think, despite them playing against one another in soccer later on today, I think that is still a 5-man, 6-man squad, coach included, that's very united in a very fast 3-0 here.
Yeah, they're all against Davey.
Right. No, but I think that SMITE team, Spaniards, Englishmen included, all very motivated to mop the floor with Team Ruedy here. Got to talk about Team Ruedy, the team hoping to delay things a little bit here today, whether it's a 3-0 on their side or pushing this matchup to 4 or 5. Gormizer, it's a team that faced some turmoil yesterday but found a way to get it done in our best of 3. And Team Ruedy here to play.
Yeah, this is a team that, again, they'll bury their heels in the ground and just push back. Ruedy has said it the best, but it's just a bunch of rank grinders doing the thing that they do best, right? They recognize how to take a scenario, and when you play a lot of ranked, you've been in the situations where you're up 20k gold. You've been in the situations where you're down 20k gold. You've won games where you're 4v5 or 5v4. You've got so much, I think, going on around you that it is going to be an interesting dynamic to see what they bring. And they also have something that I think is very impressive, and it's just that their god pool is very different than what we've seen out of a lot of other teams, I would say. I think Davy's team has that going for them, maybe even more so. But like Bop likes to pull out Sylvanas, and Bop Sylvanas is incredibly good. And nobody else right now is pulling out a Sylvanas. And so there's definitely this aspect to Team Ruedy that there's a depth behind them that I think gives them a little more punch. That's maybe going to give Team Davy a little more run for their money.
Malum, if you look at the world of the tier list maybe of Ruedy underdog stories, there's maybe the Ruedy from Notre Dame that comes to mind. Of course, a movie made after that story. Maybe the top of the list is Team Ruedy here up against Team iDavy. Would you agree with that assessment?
I am completely in agreement with that assessment, and there's a few reasons for me as to why. I mean, Ruedy, the namesake of the team, the captain of the team, was in here in an interview, as many have done this weekend, and said, "Oh, I'm gonna feed."
Right.
Ruedy performed really well, but this is the team I'm probably the most familiar with of this entire tournament. I've been casting Happen and Valo for years now across different amateur leagues, and one thing that's always stuck out to me. We want to talk about the kind of sprint through, which makes plenty of sense because we got the game going on, iDavy's in a rush, but when you actually look at it as a best of 5, in these best of 5s, I've seen with my own eyes Valo and Happen be in best of 5s where they were the underdogs before, and I've seen Happen in particular playing off role in those situations and pull through. I believe it was an ADC when I saw it, and I mean, Happen's an awesome guy, love watching him, but ADC Happen,
not happening.
Not happening, exactly. So going into this, I'm really looking for Valo and Happen to step up because Happen's been on the new we talked about wanting to see more. If we can see Happen bring up it more like that, if we can see Ruedy be solid and then we can see Valo pop off, then I actually think Team Ruedy might have a really good chance. And you mentioned God pools, Gore. We haven't seen too deep into Team Ruedy's God pool because they've been pretty comfortable the whole time.
Yeah, that's the thing that Davy, for the longest time in Europe, he was getting 3 bans. Admittedly, that meant everybody else got to play whatever they wanted, but Davy was eating 3 bans, so you really had to figure out, at least for him, how to play a minimum of 4 gods to make sure that this role would work for him, the role swap would work for him. But if you give him his Ares, if you let him have his Sobek, any of those, the Terra even, he's going to be more than happy with it.
We talked about Ragnar's Charybdis. Won't see it. Well, you see it in the ban column, but you won't see it in-game. And then some support-centric bans from Team iDavy. In Malum, I have heard so much conversation this weekend about King Bop. I am hesitant to say I'm surprised to see the first few bans roll through targeted at the support player.
I think King Bop has been a bit overlooked so far in this tournament. When the Cerberus came out yesterday, the reaction was, oh, King Bop's really got to perform on this. And then the beginning of the game was a very easy write-off of, oh, King Bop's not performing on this. And then all of a sudden, that Cerberus game looked like one of the best ones we've seen on a character that has been heavily prioritized. So if King Bop can do that, and do that under calmer pressure. With the pressure on, and a team full of recognizable names who are up against the world in Team iDavy, for me, this is the big game for King Bop Bop to really show off. Problematic, though. Chang'e been banned away a lot this weekend and gets selected first for iDavy.
Yeah, Gore, haven't seen this pick just yet. Though I am a fan of the pick.
I love Chang'e.
Excited to watch it.
Yeah, and it's for it's so for various reasons, because right now she actually probably does pretty well. The thing that I always find about Chang'e, especially when I've played her as of late, when you're in organized play, it can change because she is still pretty easy to camp. You've got your own self-immunity, your own Beads Aegis combo in your 2. Decently long cooldown on that one, at least enough that you still want one of the other relics to help facilitate you. But you've got a lot of CC. The thing that really surprises me every time I play her is just how much she can chunk somebody without you realizing how much damage you're going to do. And so that's really what I'm going to keep my eye on, is any kind of group up from Team Ruedy. That means that her ult's going to be insanely good for them. But that also means that the Chang'e could find a lot of damage issues. She's a little closer range than some other mages. You do have to get into an uncomfortable position compared to, well, the things like the Agni, the MLF that we've been seeing Team iDavy play. And so knowing that they're going to have to be a little more kind of, I'm going to use the term coagulated, they're going to have to be together, that might change how well this Chang'e can do.
Malum, the early and often conversations I feel like we've had about Team iDavy is their aggression, their desire to run it down, and making it difficult for other teams to have any room to operate. Do you feel like their first 3 picks encapsulate that playstyle?
I love it from the Kukulkan for sure. That's a character that's been performing so well this weekend. The Horus for me is a bit of an unknown. Horus can kind of play either. I've been surprised the amount of times I've seen Horus play a bit more passively, be a bit quieter until later in the game. It's never worked great, but I've seen it more times, especially lately in the current state of the meta, than I'd be happy with. But the Chang'e, I think the Chang'e is really interesting in this scenario because I actually am kind of sticking with the idea this could still stand to be a flex pick for a little while between mid and jungle. iDavy, I believe, even played it at one point throughout the Content Cup. So I'm looking for that. And Chang'e herself is just so insane right now. We've seen her be touched and still perform great because she hasn't performed in a while, and then she's finally up at the top of the meta, and it's like, oh, okay, we're going to leave her be. Now, for Content Cup, that means Chang'e is going to be potentially a top performer. Buy Blink on it too. Go crazy. Have the Horus set up for you. As your Kukulkan's diving the backline, you got a real danger in this Chang'e.
Yeah, it requires a lot of team chemistry, a lot of coordination. But Team iDavy have shown that for months now. Gore, I'm trying to remember.
Yeah.
As I have a lot this weekend. If we ever went through... Why do I feel like we went through a Chang'e SPL meta where it was... Did we go through like a solo?
Because Zeros played for...
That's right.
For you, Zeros, if you go back, you want to go back, let's go, we'll go even further.
Must have been Zeros.
Because Zeros played it a lot in mid, because that dude, and he did it when he was in EU, SCC, or in the SPL, he kept locking it in. But you go back even further, you can talk about like DJ Pernicus playing it in the jungle. You can go back even further beyond that, and it was a very big staple in mid, and in specifically more so in solo. She's a fun god. She's been around.
Zeros was far enough back for me.
Zeros.
I got nothing.
It said something that I had to go from like season 9 or season 8, and then before that I had to jump all the way to season 2.
I could see you searching the folders in your brain, you know.
Yeah, Gore, you had the spreadsheets for a while there.
Yeah, I still got them somewhere.
Impressive if you could somehow find those. Malum, you were thinking that maybe Chang'e jungle. To the final 2 bans here from Team Ruedy, the Thor, the Camazotz, maybe recenter your confidence that this could be a mid-lane Chang'e.
It does a little bit for sure. I mean, it's hard not to.
Yeah.
But also, I feel like they wanted control of the jungle, too, because they got the Lancelot so early, which is a great pick for Valo. So even if you aren't 100%, if you're 80% sure that's a Chang'e mid, controlling the jungle still and controlling what you're up against is a really good spot to be in, because that's been problematic for a lot of teams so far.
And specifically for Chang'e, like, we've seen, like, I mentioned the Chang'e jungle just now.
Yeah.
Nobody does that. Like, no, let's just face it, you're not DJ Pernicus out there right now. And, like, her solo is okay, but, like, no one's played her realistically outside of mid competitively in probably 8 years. So it feels like it's a pretty hefty and maybe like a really solid bet because of that. Like, I would put my money on it.
There you go.
But I'm
Yeah,
not
there
Nick,
we
so I
go.
won't.
Now we're locked in.
Yeah, the Robin locked in just brings me back to the.
You're right. Robin mid, Chonga jungle.
That was a thing. I don't know about the Chang'e jungle. The Robin mid was a thing.
I've seen them
for a little
comboed recently, but the amateurs are different demons altogether, so that's a bad
Well,
example.
and Team Davy is somewhere in between. I think Robin. I think the full mitigation or the full DR Robin that we saw over in the solo lane for a little while.
Yeah,
a
the
few years ago.
125,000 mitigated.
Yeah, the mitigated. I think Sot really brought that to the forefront. Don't imagine in the jungle we'll be seeing that build. But full 5 locked in here. Malum, what are some standouts from our pick ban phase here? Any steals of the draft in your opinion?
Well, Chernobog being locked in. I think J-Max said earlier that Apollo and Chernobog is just better Apollo. And for Ragna, those auto stim, those blow you up with crits or just pure quick damage has been the play for Ragna. And it's worked out so far all the way through this weekend. Why stop there?
Sure.
Why not lock in the Chernobog? And I think it can be really great here. But for Team Ruedy, I do like their composition. Happen is comfortable on the Nuwa. So you've got comfort in your mid lane. You know you're going to have damage because worst case scenario, Happen can hang out by the speed buff, put one hand on the keyboard, one hand over his eyes, and press 4, and they're good to go.
Yep.
Artemis and Osiris, though, bring a lot to the team fights with Lancelot and with Serb that I feel like can actually make Team Ruedy feel like they have more space in a team fight to operate. That could kind of calm some of the issues of fighting into a Kukulkan and a Chang'e.
Remember, there's a lot at stake here. This is not only the SMITE Content Creator Cup Grand Finals. This is EU versus NA. A lot of history between these squads.
Feels like a flashback.
It sure does, doesn't it? But a best of 5 around the corner, and that kind of changes things, Score, here a bit.
Yeah.
Been doing a lot of best of 3s, only best of 3s this weekend. Now in a best of 5s, things get fleshed out a little bit. You have a bit more room for error in game 1. And you're starting to talk about maybe the better team having better odds and longer sets rather than a worse team kind of showing up in the first couple of games and finding themselves a win. Do you think it's an advantage in a best of 5 to Davy?
I think, well, especially because I think a few of those players have played more in 5s, right? They have done and have a little bit more experience having to go that extra distance, knowing that they're going to get there. But like you said, when it comes to adjustments, this is a team that, as of right now, and the way that they have been playing, they're really good at their adjustments. Right now, if you look at this draft, there's a couple of gods that nobody's been picking this weekend, that nobody's played so far this weekend. And admittedly, there was a patch on Tuesday last week, so it's really going to be coming in about as fresh as they could be. But at the same time, if it goes wrong for you, you can really reassess that and be like, okay, well, we'll just do it in 3 now. In game 2, we'll start it and do a 3-1. And we've seen this a couple of times, but push it all the way to the distance and go all 5.
Yeah, that's what Team Davy want, but
that's what Team Davy want is a 3-0.
They want it
for their predictions.
They're trying to
for
speed run. They've got the timer up on their screens. They're ready to go.
Yeah, understood. If it happens, though, I mean, maybe we wouldn't be all that surprised. Team Davy have been steamrolling people for weeks here. Dropped a couple games here and there, but this weekend have looked pretty great. Team Ruedy required a big comeback yesterday to pull themselves back in their best of 3 set that now land them here in the grand finals. I'm excited about a lot of this here between Team iDavy and Team Ruedy. Best of 5, game number 1 in the SCCC grand finals, kicking off right now. Let's see how things unfold here, fellas, because
it stays right here.
What's that?
With us.
It does. Let's kick things over to your casters. What's up, guys? Your caster here for game 1 of Team iDavy versus Team Ruedy. We're 3-man in this bad boy. Dolson, Gormizer, and Anthony Malum. Malum, where do your eyes go in the early stages of this game? Who do you expect to maybe make a wave right off the bat? Or do you think things slow down?
I've kind of got 2. I've got 2 more simple ones off the bat. I'm looking at the ADCs and their matchup because Ragna is staying my player to watch. I'm not letting go of watching Ragna and how that Chernobog unfolds throughout the game. But I am looking at the mid lane, and I'm looking at if there's any focus put into Happen, but instead iDavy blinking forward into lane, so maybe Duo will be fun to watch.
Yeah, I'll take the blink. I'll take the blink for beads right off the bat. Ruedy, not the most immobile, needs those beads. Gore maybe opens the door to a dark gank here maybe in a few minutes.
I remember...
Or it's mid. Or it's mid.
You called it.
Blood mid. Yeah, I called. I mean, I'm technically right, which is maybe the best kind of being correct. But instead, it's over in mid.
Davey did admit prior to this that there was one team's plan, and I've seen people in chat mention it as well. It's run it down, right? Like, that is the main goal. That is the primary target for Team Davey. It's just to get aggressive and try to get the job done. And so that's where they're started, and that's what they're doing. And that, I mean, that is a brilliant game to walk in. Just walk up, get the job done. You know that you've got a relatively immobile target in a new wall. There's not much the new wall can do to get away.
Over in duo.
And without an ult, yeah, it opens things up so easily for you.
Yeah, the new the focus, that's kind of what I was hinting at, is that I want to see if they try to keep Happen down. Happen's been on this new and trying to be so comfy on it, but if you put pressure on Happen, if you make that free damage matter less, then Happen has less to work with. And that's really where iDavy can get a leg up. If you start all of a sudden having Dark running around on a rampage, things can just work so smoothly and really work to the strengths of iDavy's comp.
Keep your eyes, therefore, on Fallow on this Lancelot. Really just wants to farm up, hit that level 5 mark here. Could maybe make similar arguments. Aim Blue on the Chang'e. Somewhat immobile. Has the ultimate, but started Blink. Does not have beads over in the mid lane. And so maybe Gormizer, some optimal targets for Team Ruedy's jungler to try to create some pressure across this map as well. Whew. Almost. Solo kill in the solo lane.
And that's going to be another problem that you're going to have to deal with. Karmic, yesterday when Ruedy was playing, as a player, even when Ruedy was losing the game, Karmic looked amazing. If Yor can get a stronger kind of pushback in solo against Karmic, shut down this Osiris as much as you can, it really is going to make this a simpler conversation for him when it comes down to the team fights. Dark could maybe show up over there. Robin's always an interesting one for me because, like, his ganks feel very, not necessarily telegraphed, but like once he's there, you kind of know what to expect.
Purple buff invade brings everyone over to the left side of the map. Davey locked down and burned down. Team Ruedy find themselves on the board. Goodness, the damage out of the mid lane. Dark and Aim Blue combine with Ragna. And a 2-kill swing for Team Davey. Purple buff. Not even sure where that one went. I don't think Team Davey are worried about it because they have an invade of their own going on the other side.
That is exactly the kind of fight Team iDavy want to have every single time. They've looked so good in fights throughout the weekend that if they force those non-stop, they just will always look good. And Dark is somebody who loves to brawl, and Ragna too. So they keep up that 2v2 like that, 2v5 even. They might be able to handle it if this keeps up.
Yeah, Gore, I love what I've seen out of the Robin up to this point. And now level 5. Mystic Rush is there. Remember, we set this stage early. A Nuwa, an Artemis, both have beads, both have some built-in CC immunity. But this is where Team Davey and the pace that they like to play the game really can peek its head here in game 1.
I wouldn't be surprised if there's some sort of aggression being planned. I'm also going to keep like eyes specifically on Davey because of that. I feel like Horus, once he ticks over to 5, has that ultimate available. It's not really like the level 5 ult that exists in SMITE. There's a lot of other way better ults.
It's no raw snipe.
But at the same time, like, it enables some things, right? So like I'm kind of hoping to see something out of that, and I feel like Horus, especially I want to say EU Horus. Maybe it was just because there were some EU players in SCC or SPL, I should say.
EU does love their Horus.
They love it, and I think Genetics it was a few years ago who was the one who would like constantly backdoor if you gave him the opportunity. So like I'm looking at Davey as somebody. Plus, I mean I can yap a lot about Prot Shred.
You're alive. You're alive in the solo
survives.
lane. Almost.
Ooh, watch Dark. Can he get there?
Dark is here as well. Has Mystic Rush.
Blink's on.
Blink, Mystic Rush, got all of it. Got some low health targets as well. And the important one, unfortunately the one we zoomed in on, the root, is a whiff. Could still be a fight around the corner though. Karmic half low on the mana as well. Yor rejoins the fight, double knock up. Oh, it's perfect on the setup. A Mystic Rush just wide. And it's Dark shoved beneath the tower. And the rotation in. Was that happen over from mid? Cleans up a kill. King Bop Bop was here as well. Someone got it. Team Davey had some great targets, but Malum got none of them, and instead both die.
That Mystic Rush hurt. There's no other way to say it for Dark. I'm sure Dark feels the same way, and they fell victim to the 4 button. of the new WA, which is also going to be problematic. If you make a gank like that, if you hard commit like that, if you call your back to go with you, you have to make those plays work if you're Team iDavy. You have to make everything count.
Yeah, I was surprised, honestly, that your turned around.
Me too! Like where was he going?
When the minute because you called out Dark, and you know, it's like, okay, you've got your blink, your ult. We saw him miss the root, but like, even at first I was like, do you go in when you're just got bodied out of the lane? Like, do you try to fight this? He does still go for that blink. He misses the root, and maybe if that connects, I can agree with, like, your turning around and getting back in there. But then it's like, all right, let's dedicate everything to the tier 1 tower line 5 minutes in. Like, that is a rough spot to be in. And I think they found out, like you pointed out, pretty much the worst possible way you could find that out. Like, with the new WA, eating a tower shot, whiffing an ult. It is about as bad as that could have gone.
There's like 2 different kinds of tilt after a fight like that. You know, there's the hit your keyboard tilt, or there's the you pick up your mouse and you slam it down tilt. That's usually me, and that was that fight.
I'm a big mouse tapper.
Yeah, the bottom of my mouse is just worn out and bruised and battered. It's a rough look.
Have you guys gone through a number of mice in your gaming career?
I'm on my 4th of the last 2 years. So.
Gotcha. Nice.
Wow. I don't do it that hard. I just like it's like.
Yeah, maybe I'm self-reporting a little
like,
bit.
What,
Right, maybe.
Like max 2 inch height.
Careful on the glass. Careful on the glass.
Thing? Yeah, you're right. I can't. I talk too much.
I
with
saw
my
that
hands.
thing. It was
wobbling.
Shaking. Yeah, I was nervous there. It's got some give though, you know. And Gore, you're not an angry person.
No.
You're not gonna snap that desk.
Most of the time it's, I thought you meant for my mouse. I was like, it's just for emphasis. It's when I'm clapping my hands.
Oh, we're fighting over in solo lane. Grand joust from Valo, but look at the disengage from Team Davy. Maybe a re-engage though on the flip side. Valo, no mana, no health. Mystic Rush this time from Dark finds its target. Up in the sky goes Happen. He'll crash down once more, and he's got a great opportunity to get away. He's able to do so. Goodness. Team Davy trying to chase down the scraps of this fight. They'll get one, maybe a little bit more.
Are they fully out? Team Ruedy are stepping up. They're willing to chase, and Happen's going to find one already.
Goodness. You're thinking Team Davy is in, then you think they're out, and then they go back in, and now Ragnar's handed one more kill back over. I think at this point you cut your losses, but Karmic on a long roundabout chase just needed a bit more to grab that final kill onto Dark. Now Davy and Aim Blue on the chase, but Karmic healthy enough. We will slow things down. Gore, these two teams, they're meeting early and they're meeting often here in Game 1.
And really, you know, the gold is one thing to talk about, but I was looking at experience because it's 2 levels right now in solo, and you can see, about half a level for Happen, probably around the same for Valo in terms of the jungle, maybe a little further now. They just got the Bull Demon, but really being able to lean into, you know, what I would say was already one of the strongest aspects of this entire team for Team Ruedy was Karmic. So if Karmic can get and maintain a lead and have this presence, it's going to make a huge difference in rotations.
Whoa, damage out of Dark. It's almost enough to one-tap Happen. Needed a little assistance, but gets the kill nonetheless. King Pop unable to peel out for his mid laner. Finally, someone deals with this new wall after a great last couple of minutes.
You thought you could walk through your own mid lane, Happen?
Yeah.
You thought.
Good luck.
You thought. That Stitchy B pit is one to avoid for sure. Man, so far, there's so much going on. One thing I did learn from the last team fight, Gore, and I think you were also caught on to the same thing, in terms of actual team fight synergy and communication, iDavy definitely just has a leg up. The chaos of Team Ruedy and how long it took them to actually bring down how low Team iDavy was a little bit, maybe concerning isn't the right word, but definitely eye-grabbing for me, and how long it took to truly wipe them out.
And I think that's going to be a problem that kind of grows with him. And that's something, again, where Robin's really interesting. I feel like the next couple of minutes and where he goes with this next item dictates more than anything what kind of Robin we're getting. Are we getting a setup, slow down, somebody else get the kill Robin, or are we getting the hard carry, I'm going to do it Robin?
Ramadoni and Boar maybe delays out this fight, but is it just a bait? Might be. Dark is here immediately, stunned though, on his way into the fight. Root's there for Bop. It's a long, drawn-out slog, but nobody rotating into the back of this engagement. Oh, King Bop from range drops Davy. Support on support violence, and that's going to be the only kill in this fight. Over on left, Happen sent some damage from mid, could have been a difference maker, but again, Dark hangs around. Potentially a bit too long. Valo almost gets it. Dark, just dodge out the last auto, yes. but Valo
Turn around.
avoids the last tower shot, and Aim Blue cleans up the scraps.
Oh no, a lot to unpack there, but just rough all around. Yor want to fight with Karmic, but Ragnar wasn't done fighting, went right back to duo, found Ruedy and brought them down.
Yor, maybe a chase over in solo as well. He's 2 levels down against Karmic. Karmic will scurry away. Gormizer, these two teams said they were going to fight.
This is the
And
reason
they
we
be fight-
really had the 3-man cast, was I needed just 2-1s so that you could bounce off of each other while the fights never stopped.
Olden days, the 1.5 days of
Yeah,
SMITE.
we're realistically, we're not having, oh yeah, hey look, another fight. And
Great
potential
dash.
Kill, but yeah, beautiful dash. Especially timing-wise. Just to avoid
all right.
as much as you can. Heal's good. And
Needed
should
it.
be out of there. I'm still surprised. There is a world if Dark is able to hit a root, and again, like you had said, Dave, juke out just like one more auto, or they get that kill, and then some, right? You don't lose anybody in the process. It's just a massive scrap fest. And so far, no one's really the better for it outside of Karmic. Karmic is doing way better, but
Yeah.
outside of that, the teams are mostly even.
Sure are.
Actually, also shout out to Ragnar, who has a 2-level lead.
Ragnar is going to do a lot with it, I think. I mean, the Chernobog we've already seen. If you're willing to use that ultimate aggressive, you bought the Stormseeker, so you need to get it stacked up. You start to get your value at 100 stacks. That's a long grind for Ragnar, so you want to be in these team fights. So on Chernobog, it's going to feel real good because you can get to fights. Maybe a fight around DJ Stigi B, as that's up, and has interest.
The names we've got for just this left side of mid. What do we have? Chesterfield, USA, and DJ Stigi B. I'm here for it.
Playing the hits.
I got a lot of learning to do, it appears. A lot of new POIs on the map, despite them being largely the same.
Got to reposition and relook at things if you're Davey there. That
Right.
was maybe an
Didn't
early
like where I
ultimate
was.
they're going to wish they had back.
Yeah, he didn't like where he was. Dark has slowed things down just a bit. It's been very active in the early portion of this game, Gore. 4, 2, and 2. 6 of the 7 kills affected by this Robin, which is really what you hope for on a pick like this. You want to get active early. It's a pick that we know can get active and has really lived up to that hype.
This is a pick, one that, again, and actually based on the item, I'm assuming is going to go for an Erendite. So chasing people down, that's going to be the main goal. And that's kind of what I was wondering what we were going to see is you know, when you see the Jotuns into a Shifters, I feel like it's like a 50-50. It's like you can either full go into damage, you can still go hybrid, and that seems to be more of where we're at. You can dive down.
This is the downside of Nuwa. You come crashing
Karmic's
down in
here.
the same exact spot after your ultimate. Finally, Yor's able to get it, but Aim Blue took too much damage in the meantime. As Team Ruedy punched back after an opening kill for Team Davy. And the tanks stand strong, stand healthy in mid. Double stun from King Pop Pop might give Team Ruedy their advantage, but the healing, the AoE, it's simply too much. No one's dying. The damage just not quite online yet. Mystic Rush back in from Dark, and there's your difference maker.
There's your Chernobog rotating in right on time. Maybe was kind of hitting like a paperweight for a moment there, being so early on in the build, but the rotation and just being able to add in that extra member made the difference in that fight. Pyromancer grabbed, King Bop Bop considering it, but can he get through or will he go down?
Ooh, needed the jump out, got the jump out. Now Team Davy safe enough around the Pyromancer. And so in a game where the early goings looked good for Davy, and then Team Ruedy had a couple really good picks back, this is now a big stabilizing moment at 14 minutes for Team Davy.
You got to stabilize. I like that entirely because you have to get a ground on what's made you get this far. You've lost the tier 1 and left, but that's okay because you committed the Chernobog. You borderline expected that with Ruedy on this Artemis, who has been a bit quiet. We haven't seen the big Ruedy rotation come out. And if you can stabilize yourself before that happens, before you have an Artemis in the fight, before your first full 5-on-5, we've yet to even see a Gold Fury, for that matter, I think iDavy will be in a good spot. Where they'll be in a bad spot, though, you cannot let Team Ruedy start to keep pulling these punches first. If they start getting these hits in early on, you're letting them drive the team fight.
I am really looking forward to the Gold Fury, I think more than anything right now,
Same.
because it's this awkward territory. We've seen a lot of like really fast fire giants over the last couple of days, and I think the pace of the game, the meta right now, it fits for a fast like 17, 18-minute fire giant. But you do still have the awkwardness that a 17, 18-minute fire giant brings, in that you're going to knock down like tier 1s, maybe some tier 2s. But if you get a Phoenix off of it, you should consider yourself lucky. This Gold Fury still being up, to me, opens up a conversation around a team fight. And with things slowly but surely, I'm going to use the same word, stabilizing. If Davey get it, we're back to pretty much net neutral state, maybe even a small advantage considering the experience in their favor. If Ruedy gets it, that's the way they can start an empire for this set, by getting this lead, finally finding something for themselves.
Yeah, Davey tired of waiting. He'll blink, dash forward. Couple knockups. Needed the stun from aimblue, though, to set up the kill on to happen, and it's the auto attack from aimblue that finishes it off. Valo, grand joust right through. Oh, massive Stygian Torment from King Pop. He's done it again on this Cerberus. And we'll get the stun onto aimblue on the other side. Davey's got to rotate, maybe assist his mid laner here, but Karmic on his rotation out of mid makes a difference. It's not the jungler for Team Davey we're looking at. It's the double kill for Valo out of the jungle for Team Ruedy.
iDavy's got to step back and play it safe, but Team Ruedy still stepped up and aggressive in that mid lane. They want at least the Bastion. They might consider that tier 1, but Gore, I know you and I, we're looking for the Gold Fury right after this, but maybe Yor wants to continue the fight.
And this tier 1, it still stands and crumbles shortly after. Now Yor doesn't have the safety, needs the roar and the shoulder bash away. Gets out alive. Little damage from happen from base. Really disengages this. Right as we talk about stabilization, though, Gore Miser, it's Team Ruedy flipping the script.
Yeah, keeping things in their favor and being able to pull. I mean, just look at that chart. It's just such a drastic dive down at them. Getting that much of an advantage off of a fight, even without being able to pick up like a Fury afterward or a Fire afterward, really kind of showcases where that pressure was. And again, what they were winning in originally was just gold. They needed a little bit more in terms of experience. Outside of Karmic, everybody was trailing a little bit behind. Now you look in the jungle, oh well, Valo's up 2 levels. You got 2 levels still for Karmic. You're starting to see, if not parity, at least something close to it in mid and the carry. So Ruedy has been able to claw away at the one advantage that Team Davey had. If they can secure this Gold Fury, again, it can change so much, but it has to be Ruedy that gets it if they want it. Otherwise, Davey, I mean, they're still looking to fight.
Waiting on a couple ultimates to come back off the cooldown. Davey alone in the front line. Of course, has that dash to get back with the rest of his team. Solo laners, only one of them has teleport. It's Karmic, the one you want in the fight if you're Team Ruedy. I think knowing all the cards, all the chips down on the table, Team Davey not liking what they see, but an opportunity to knock down this tier 1. Able to do so, but Team Ruedy may be in on this disengage. A leap forward from Pop. Stygian Torment forces out some of the CC immunity from Team Davey. Caledonian Boar as well. Could be a massive jump in from Davey and the rest of his squad. Up down goes Ragnar, but Valo again shuts down the initiation with a double kill and a rampage. And Davey, the scraps of this team fight. Team Ruedy will chase him down, and it's only the one for Team Davey.
Valo made it happen again. Went from red buff to killing everyone on Team iDavy. aimblue blinked into his death during that fight. Blinked right into a grand joust to go down, and Ruedy take advantage to pull the Gold Fury. And they've got Karmic over a Pyro. They're min-maxing perfectly. Team Ruedy has the full control of the pace of this game, and they're doing it correctly.
I was wondering if Yor is maybe going to poke around the corner, look for a Pyromancer. Thought about it, but an ultimate from Karmic will secure both objectives on the map, and Gore, this feels like it might just break things open in the mid-game.
Yeah, this is the real moment where the divining light seems to be going a little bit more towards Team Ruedy. I mean, winning fights like that, only losing Ruedy, like Artemis, it sucks to lose your carry, but if you're going to lose a carry, Artemis is going to be one of the ones that you're going to lose, right? She's outside of Tusky being able to peel for her traps, being able to peel for her, she's not really going to be the one who survives. She's very much in the, I'll call it like the Freya department, which is really just the I need to kill you before you kill me. And if you can succeed at that, you'll be great. Like right here.
Rudy's got nothing. Gotta get this kill if you're Dark. Wow, had just enough sustain, and Dark just didn't have enough damage. Ultimate just came back up from Rudy as aimblue.
No way.
Go for the play. Yeah, that back was just too quick. A lot invested over on the left side of the map.
Yeah.
Tier 1's going to go down here at some point shortly. You got to stay aggressive, I suppose, Malum. If you're Team Davey here, you cannot let this one continue to spiral out of control.
And that's something they did really well against Team Seagull. There were a few times where Team Seagull were taking the idea of trying to bring the fight to iDavy, and they were able to hold on to their own style of play their game, you know, the saying type of thing.
Right.
But if Team Ruedy continue this pressure, I am a little bit worried as Team iDavy. I feel like they're starting to fall behind in a lot of important aspects. Ruedy came online for Valo and Ruedy.
Ragna dashes forward, just eats the stun. He'll go up, down. This is real trouble for Ruedy. No one from Team Ruedy coming in to assist. So it'll be a kill for Team Davy. There's nothing on the map for Team Ruedy to kill. Needed something going on the left side of the map because Gormizer, that's where the lead is for Team Davy. They got a level 20 Chernobog to the 18 of Ruedy. Nowhere else on the map is in your favor.
And I'm going to keep my eyes on this Chernobog because the 90% of the reason you pick him is his ult, right? It's down right now for Ragna, which means you have to play a little more carefully and maybe just more with your team because it's a long cooldown. It's
like a normal ADC. How lame.
Well, because normally you can just be like, all right, guys, y'all have fun over there. I'm a split push, and when you need me, just say
turn
my
the
name.
music up.
Until then, like
the Cyclone's been special. How many times did we see that over the years?
I want to throw Ruedy under the bus because I'm pretty sure he did that the first couple weeks as well. He just played Cherno and just split push the entire time.
Yeah. Hey, it's annoying.
But it's
and it works.
It's how you're supposed to play him. And so, yeah, right now he has to, maybe play like a regular carry and actually be friends with your team and care about their well-being and helping them out. Give him about 30, 40, 50 seconds, and he'll be right back where he wants to be. This lane, I don't know if he gets a solo kill as easily as he could have a couple minutes ago either.
Well, again, look, nobody from Team Ruedy's over here on the left. Just hit your autos! Hit your autos! Ragna does it 3 in a row for the Chernobog. And Ruedy right back to base. I'm not sure even as I would say, at least you can buy some items a little bit quicker. I don't think he made enough gold in the last couple of minutes to get anything. Instead, we fight one more time in mid lane, but Davy uninterested. Supply the airship away, but hello, Valo. Over on left, Ragna cannot avoid the last bit of damage, and now he one-on-one. The two junglers fight, but Dark uninterested. Davy will be here for a little bit of support, and Malum, the fight goes on.
Man, Dark really wants this fight. Valo just wants to run, but Davy says, I got your back. Let's bring down this Lancelot, but the fight's still not done. Karmic blinks in.
Finally, we see the Osiris join the fray. Aim Blue's got to spread out a bit of that healing.
Yours here.
And just tiptoes away. You're in a bit later. Won't get to taste any of the action. I'm scared of this Osiris, and it appears Team Davy is as well.
Gore, you had a thought.
Well, what was interesting about that thought was how quickly it died.
It disappeared, it vanished.
It was all based on Ruedy dying and Ragna not. Because if Ruedy dies and Ragna doesn't, there's like a world where you can split push to the max because you don't have to worry about it. Hey, it's a 4v4. Their carry's not going to be there. I can rotate in still if we need it. Now he can still get to the fight a little bit quicker, and that might honestly be necessary.
Man, the fight goes on. This time over in mid. Dark with the Mystic rush away. I said I was scared of the Osiris. Dark sure is now. Has nothing left to get away from this fight. Ragna ults in. On the other side of mid lane, Davy have really flipped this around. They're on the backside of Team Ruedy. But it looks like Team Ruedy will be able to just squeak through that Fury pit. It's Happen who's dead. Maybe still an initiation, though. Davy finds one more dash forward, double waxing moon from Aim Blue. Can the Stygian Torment maybe delay things because Ruedy has lived?
Davy?
But not for much longer. The drop ship from Team Davy hands another kill over.
Air Davy worked out perfect in that team fight to get behind Ruedy and bring them down. That opens up this fight completely without the Artemis around to pull the Primal Fury. King Bot would be the last chance, but looks like the Serb is content to back to base and take their time. That'll give a Stygian Beacon to Team iDavy as well. This is getting a bit messy for Team Ruedy. It feels like they might have lost some of their advantage.
And one thing they have going for them, like in some of these fights, is you've got inherent anti-heal in some of these gods, but realistically, Team Davy, like as long as Aim Blue is fine in the background, he's going to be able to heal and DPS a lot of people. Again, the Chang'e's hitting way harder than you would typically expect because she's not really like seen, at least in my mind, in years, as like a burst mage. And she doesn't do as much as like a Kukulkan might or as like Scylla might, especially with like Crush and their ultimates. But Aim Blue's hitting pretty hard, and Aim Blue's making a pretty big difference in a lot of these fights. Add in some CC, add in Davy's healing. This is a really tough team to kill.
Earlier on, I think a lesson was learned by Blue about that blink when they blinked into Valo, who was in Grand Joust, and ever since then, the mistake has not been made, and Blue's positioning has been much better, and iDavy have been able to work around the Chonga even better, but can you work around this fight?
Yor avoids just a bit of the initiation. Again, a waxing moon from Blue. Hand delivers a kill to Team Davy. Watch out. Dark's on the backside of the fight, and he's found the carries. A runaway from Yor will be shut down by Happen, but the rest of the fight for Team iDavy is still here, and it's on Team Ruedy's doorstep. Davy may rejoin Ragna, won't need it, and it's just chase down at this point. Chase and burn, baby. And Team Davy's getting it done. One more on to Bop Bop. And I'll call it a deicide at 25 minutes for Team Davy.
That's exactly what Team iDavy have been trying to do in every one of these last fights. Just work together, actually get the damage through, allow Ragna to freely read position with that ultimate to bring down a backliner. It happened to happen, and without that Nuwa, the damage was nowhere to be found. This Fire Giant is free, and Team iDavy are in a fantastic position.
This is, I mean, fantastic. Like, trading out Yor for the full deicide plus a Fire Giant, like that might be the dream at that point, right?
Yeah.
You've been trailing a little bit most of the game. You finally have some advantage. You're winning these fights. You trade 1 for 5. It's your solo laner of all people, the guy with teleport and doesn't really need the Fire Giant.
That's just the life of the solo laner, right?
Yeah, it's almost the dream for you. Now you can set it up. You've still got healing between him and Blue and Davy, and now all of a sudden you can start getting aggressive. Small resets because you had so much money in your pockets, you needed to spend some of it, but we're seeing 6 slot items for a majority of these guys. The finished build for Ragna, we're never going to see him fully build his stacks on his autos.
He's not even to the 100 point
yeah,
yet.
He can dream, though, but as far as he goes, and with this kind of build, like, he is built to just demolish. It kind of feels like towers and tanks, really, more than anything. So I like the idea of them playing this left lane, move out. That's where the only tier 2 towers left. Knock it down, get some more gold, and look for the most valuable Phoenix. But the split is beautiful from them as well. And again, that's 6-3 and 10. A great look so far from Dark in terms of what we've seen, especially compared to some of the floundering we saw earlier on in the game. It is really coming to its own.
They're so calculated. iDavy is such a calculated, slow team at times.
Yeah.
They do have their crazy moments where it does feel like something from a community league where it's just fight, 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 fight. But there are moments where it's just so slow, so precise, and borderline cerebral at times from Team iDavy.
Does feel that way. They'll have an opportunity to continue that pace of play here around these Phoenixes. Generally, when the teams take a deep breath. Really good relic situation for both squads. Everything's available. All ultimates online. It's about as full strength as we've seen it.
Yeah.
We haven't seen is the fight really coalesce in one small little area like happens underneath the Phoenix. Could be an opportunity then for Team Ruedy to funnel some of those priority targets of Team Davy. And instead, we can start going in once more, and Valo is simply gone before the fight begins, and it's the perfect target for Team Davy. The Lancelot has been a thorn in the side all game long, and they've been able to clean him up right away. Happen on the run, and Ragna into the back line, and Team Davy have bought their time, and it looks like they're going to buy themselves a win here in Game 1, but a bit of sustain from Team Ruedy may delay things just a bit further. And Team Davy have to take a breath, and they'll spin it right back, and Team Davy, they'll take Game 1.
A close exhale there. Team iDavy was getting body blocked from getting hits onto the Titan. I got a little bit worried, but they were able to lock in at that last second, and Ragna with another backline dive that just worked out perfectly.
Some passionate conversations going on in the team.
Well, their clock's ticking.
Right. Clock's ticking. Yeah, we're
They just hit the next
eight,
button on their speed run.
8 minutes to kick off here for Team Davy. Gore, it's a win for Team iDavy. Probably not as clean as they would have hoped,
No.
but remember, it was similar to what we saw yesterday against Team Captain Twig. Twig's team gets off to a really good start, and eventually it feels like Davy can and the squad can just take a deep breath, recenter themselves, and end up finding a win.
And Davy's team has been really specifically this team that in Game 1 will go the distance and kind of like struggle and fight, and it'll drag back and forth. And then Game 2, it's like, oh, never mind. We know what we're doing.
We have you.
Like, we're going to knock you out. And so that's kind of what I'm wondering is looking at this next game, are they going to come out and just knockout punch, or is it going to be a kind of knuckle dragger again where they get to the very end to see where they're finally at? Or maybe it goes the other way. Maybe Team Ruedy uses that, and they're like, no, not us again, not twice.
Look, there's some good from Team Ruedy here as well in game number 1. A best of 5 continues in game number 2. Coming up next.
It's never been done before.
What's the plan?
When was the last time you were in Vegas?
You want to host an esports event in Vegas for SMITE. SMITE 2. Now you're talking.
The hi-rez Arena, Las Vegas.
Some said it couldn't be done.
Are you guys out of your mind? The J-Dragons winning worlds can't be beat. Not shouldn't be beat, it cannot be beat.
This January, see SMITE like you've never seen before.
You clowns are gonna need a team even crazier than you. Who'd you have in mind?
Coming this January, Hindu Man's 11.
You're either in or you're out.
I'm in.
Not bad for my acting debut. Did you guys seem really convinced that I was in a movie there in that moment? Yeah.
And that's crazy because I even saw you when you were filming it. It's like I knew where you were.
That wasn't the movie?
Over there.
No, that was me acting. What I'm not acting
wasn't the
about
movie.
is believe it or not, it wasn't.
I'm
but we will
shocked.
be.
I'm shocked. I thought that was a movie.
It was so close to the real thing, but no, we will be in Vegas for our first SMITE 2 LAN event in January 17th through the 19th at the hi-rez Arena in Las Vegas. SmiteEsports.com/Vegas is where you want to head for a bit more information. All the information about tickets, all that sort of stuff will be posted there when we have it available. But mark your calendar, 17th through the 19th will be our SMITE 2 Founder Series out in Las Vegas. I'll be there. And the rest of Hindu Man's, like 8. I don't know if it's 11, right? It'll be
Numbers.
actually 6, right? Really, it's because you two are a part of Hindu Man's 6.
You, that Trelly guy,
That Trelly guy.
J-Mag. That's 6, right?
Yeah.
The dyslexia is kicking
here.
in.
And then
Wait, did I count? I counted someone twice here. Hold on.
If you counted me twice, I'd be honored.
Us 3.
you're worth 2 of us.
Ooh, I'll take
Malum.
that
Don't-
any day of
don't
the
you
week.
worry.
Are you
You're
kidding?
worth 2 of us.
J-Mac. I lost somebody. Where did
He
I
doesn't
duplicate?
live in the state anymore. His name's on the placard, but he hasn't really been announced yet. Like on the. You know who I'm talking about. It's our buddy in our group chat.
Which one?
It's not me.
Oh, yeah. He had a part in that originally. If we get the director's cut, they'll see it. I don't know if we can say
People
it.
have already
Director's
found
cut.
out online. Anyway, we'll see.
Oh
you
yeah,
in
wait.
Vegas.
I think we put it out on.
Yeah.
It's on YouTube. It's .com/SmiteBro. You should check it out.
I'm nervous
a lot
to
of
say
amazing
anything. You guys can do
videos.
some sleuthing and find out who the other one is until a later date. I'm not saying anything. My name's Dolson. That's Gormizer. Anthony Malum.
That does make 6 though,
That does make 6. After,
and that's not even including Hindu. That's 7. Is he included in the 11?
No.
Oh, it's because he owns the 11.
Yeah, he's not doing the actual heist.
We
It's
could just fill out. We got at least 5 people in production.
We sure do. You're right. We absolutely do. Anyway, let's talk about Game 1 of the SCCC Grand Finals. Dolson, Gormizer.
I got to 11. Let's go.
Malum. It's maybe the outcome, Malum, that we were all thinking we would
Yeah.
arrive at, but a few twists and turns in our story.
There were a few twists and turns in the story. The biggest for me was sort of seeing this evolution of how Team Ruedy was team fighting. It was a little bit better than I expected. I didn't expect it to be bad. I mean, these teams have performed well. It's why they're in the grand finals, right? But everything that was there started to get cleaned up over time. Even Happens positioning on the new wall, which probably feels like I've been harping on, that got better as the game went on. It went from an ult situation of getting your damage from that to there were some really good combos from Happen. And the only real trouble Happen ran into was when Ragna and or Dark were diving into the backline, which ended up being the biggest thing that I think made Team Ruedy collapse. When you're completely right, Dolson, they looked great at certain spots in the game.
Really, it's KDAs that you want out of your team. Your carries, 6-3, 9-3. Your junglers up there, and then a lot of assists for your frontliners. Gore, you often talk, usually after a game 1 like this.
I'm a yapper, yeah.
You do be talking.
Constantly.
We reach that inflection
Katie
point
hates it.
where either Team Davey is going to start to run away with it, or Team Ruedy maybe has an opportunity to
Yes.
punch back here. They've showed me enough, Team Ruedy, that they could take
Oh,
a
yeah.
game or two, or maybe even the whole set off Team Davy. I am not wholly convinced in a resounding Davy win just yet. I still think they've got a good shot, but I think Ruedy has some gas in the tank.
I think Davies' team wins that one out of like longevity and like their comp kind of helping itself, right? As the game goes on, you've got healing and survivability all kind of built in. You've got good re-engage, really good disengage, a guy that can come from anywhere on the map if you need him. So like I feel like their comp really facilitated that. If you take any of those pieces away, suddenly we're having a conversation instead that Rudy's won that game and oh man, what are we expecting going into game 2? Because I do think it was back and forth enough that this draft matters just as much, maybe, if not maybe more, than what we saw how that game ended.
Well, let's take a look at the draft score. Why don't we? P's and B's for game number 2. Remember, this is a best of 5, so what does that mean? First to 3. We're doing quick math up here on the desk. Team Davy find themselves in the second pick spot. Team Ruedy will grab their first selection. Now, any Insta snap bans, in your opinion, for Team Ruedy here after Game 1? Was anything threatening enough that it's a must ban going into the second
I
one?
feel like this has become the danger of the weekend, right? You come into these picks and bans and you've got the trauma ban in mind, but you don't want to go through with it because we've seen the Kuzumbo, the Charybdis, at times characters like the Cerberus come through. The Chang'e becomes the focus, and that does make a lot of sense to me. But I don't think it solves any problems instantly just by getting rid of the Chang'e, especially because we've seen Aim Blue perform on characters who aren't even at the top of their class right now. Like, if you're banning the Chang'e, but if you're not banning the MLF, to me, that's the easy selection for iDavy, because it was just such a good selection for Aim Blue. And for the side of Team Ruedy, I need their namesake to kind of get locked in. You know, the Artemis definitely left a lot on the table, and we've seen Ruedy play better than that. And I expect to see better than that, especially now getting further in. You've got the breather game out of the way.
Right. Yeah, Ragnar found that opening and continually put pressure onto Ruedy, and then had the global mobility to rotate into the team fights later in the game. Fafnir, Horus, your final 2 bans. Gormeister, that leaves Chalk open for the first pick. Saw Chalk in our set earlier on today. And in Team Rudy's eyes, worthy of a first pick, and it looks like our solo lane matchup already ironed out. Chalk v. Cullen. It's something that we already saw from Team Davy in Game 1.
I like the Cullen a ton in terms of what it was able to do. There was, some moments where maybe the follow-up after an ult wasn't on the exact mark he needed, but as far as Cullen went, it got the job done. I'm really excited to see what they replace the Chang'e with and the Horus with. And with this Medusa locked in, there's a part of me that, thinks, okay, that could be a long lane thing pretty easily. Duo lane, not too much of a surprise. I could also see that going in mid just because of the way Medusa has been played in the past. Like, you typically lean a little more ability-based. You typically are someone who can play pretty much akin to a mage.
Selections have been so dangerous this weekend, too.
Yeah, and so there's an opening for this to be super flexible, which actually makes it maybe worse for Team Ruedy having to figure out how to play against it.
Yeah, it really does. And Medusa, for me, was obviously the top of the class hunter in the previous patch. In this most recent one, she did catch some nerfs, but I don't think it's fair or even close to accurate to say Medusa's bad. We just haven't seen her, because when a god ends up on those patch notes saying it got nerfed, you don't see it as much. But she's still performing well. And that's kind of where I'm at with Medusa, where I feel like Ruedy really need to grab their ADC in this top 3 just for the comfort sake of Ruedy and having something where he feels like he can play into this Medusa.
Got to use your brain when a Medusa gets locked in. Your Medusa oblongata, if you think about it. That one's been a minute. I have not used that one in 2 or 3 years. I don't even know if your medulla oblongata is a decision-making part of your brain, but for the point of this bit, it is. Cirquette, the answer for Team Ruedy. And one more before we go into our second wave of bans.
My blood runs cold.
Be the Sobek. So, plenty of initiation locked in here for the first 3.
I would say, based on a quick Google search, it's very important.
Got it.
Because
great, that's good for me.
It says it's where your brain and spinal cord connect, so it's a key conduit for where nerve signals to and from your body, as well as helps vital processes
Without
like your
that,
heartbeat,
you aren't turning away
your
from Medusa
breathing,
Ultimate.
That's
and
right.
your blood pressure.
That's
so,
right.
You cooked.
You just turn to stone all the time. So Medusa oblongata lands feet first. Easy for Dave. But let's talk about the initiation here, fellas. We got Aries, and then on the flip side, Serket and Sobek. And so both of these teams trying to iron out some of their team fight malum in their first 6 picks.
I like the Aries Medusa a lot. I feel like the fight of that duo lane into a Team Ruedy that is still licking wounds from game number 1 in the duo lane is a really good combination because you can go right at them and say, we are daring you to try and fight us. And I really like that combination. I feel like that could bring a lot for iDavy early, really get Ragna rolling.
Yep.
I am really interested and confused about this new WoB ban coming out from Team Ruedy, though.
Yeah, right. It's been their mid. Who's been playing a lot of it? Though, maybe Aim Blue would,
It's a self-ban. That's
It's Happen, we want to see
play
you in
something
else.
for the first time, please.
Happen's got a mean Jingwei.
Is that a good thing or a bad thing? Good
Just
thing, bad
options.
thing.
I'm bringing up the
We'll see.
options. you
Yeah,
know?
I mean, look, Jingwei, she's like 14, right? Like, teenage girls are frightening. If she's mean, too, it's
The
the end of the road,
bully
bro.
lane, yeah.
She's going to say something scathing. It's going to live for you the rest of your life.
That's true.
The mean girls lane. Yeah.
Very honest. Ishtar, the selection. Ishtar plus Aries. Seems all right to me, Gormizer.
Yeah, I like it. It doesn't... Well, okay, the Aries is really, really, really,
Oh, wait.
really kind
There's also
to
Medusa.
Davey. Yeah, I think it's Medusa mid. Now with Ishtar, I'm starting to think Medusa
They
mid
flexed the flex
more
and
likely.
the flex flexed.
But that's the problem is that you really could technically do
There's still a
either.
flex to be
yeah,
flexed.
there's still a flex to be flexed here. I do like it. I think Aries enables Davey to just play the way he wants to play, which is to kill people constantly all the time, just run them down. And so with something, if you have a Medusa, you've got a little bit of early game pressure. But if you've got the Ishtar, you have good ult combos, good damage follow-up off of those. So I think I'd prefer to see those two in the duo lane. Medusa probably thrown into mid. Up against what, though? Wait a minute. Chalk mid? What is going on?
Huh.
Well, now,
Okay, wait a second. I might have accidentally cooked myself here because I was saying what's happened.
It cooked my brain. That's
use your Medusa oblongata, fellas.
Is this gonna be? I wonder if there's a. No, I mean, okay. Chalk mid to me is. I'm with you. That's the logical choice. There's like a 1% of a Terra mid that
Yeah.
I would be so down with, and that's a pick that
That's like
happened
the only other
performed
god
so well
you
on.
could have said that I would have been like, yeah, okay, I can see it. Like if you had been like Sobek, I would like I'd get mad about it.
Well, no, because my logic is like Happen is so good on those Guardians, and Terra is not necessarily the best mid, but if you're going for some kind of comfort that could work out, that might be your only option. Of course, can't forget the ADC because, you know, we got Chernabog Light now in the eyes of JMac for Team Ruedy.
Huh.
Might not be terrible. Could even be happening.
I'm running into an issue though, and that's that if
Come
Chalk
on.
does go mid,
Tough crowd.
I'm sorry, I was really focused.
I was
on what
really
I wanted to
invested
say.
I said it
Or
wouldn't be
statement.
terrible.
Oh.
It might even
Oh.
be happening.
Oh,
Nice.
that cooks.
That's-
I
Actually,
got,
it's good
I got
the second
distracted.
No,
by,
wait, but now that I'm like actually listening to what you
It's
said,
really
that's
good.
pretty sick.
No, it's not as good the second
I got
time
super
Well, no, not for
distracted
chat.
by-
That's the first time I heard it.
Yeah,
though.
that's
I
true.
was so focused on what I wanted to
Like
say.
I got
having
distracted by
reheated
Yap Miser.
food. You know, it's not as good.
You weren't
when
kidding with the
reheat it.
Yap, and Yap Miser got me there. I missed the whole joke.
Yeah,
I was invested.
I got you.
And I'm sad because I cut off Yap Miser. What'd you have for us?
Oh, I was just gonna say like
Run it back.
if Chalk goes mid, I don't know that I like Sobek or Terra solo anymore, and that's the only options I see there. And so it's like I want if I could choose like. Well, if I could choose, I'd change one of them out for just like a mage.
That's too
just
easy.
like literally
Yeah.
any of them.
That's too
actually,
easy.
as it
That's
turns
way
out.
too
That's
easy.
yeah, that's too simple, too easy for me. I like I feel like Terra does make the most sense in mid, but like
I got a really good one here.
oh man, I just don't know.
Would you guys say that Rudy's got the chalk?
That's
That-
so
Yeah,
good.
baby.
That's so good. That one's so good.
To
I
the
can't
point where
laugh. I'm too happy.
I'm gonna open
That's-
Smite game to see how many people
That's
actually
icy.
get the reference.
I'm with you.
That's
I'll meet you there.
that's mid-year. That's mid-year Dave form right there. I couldn't find a way.
He's
to,
back, baby. 2
find
days. He's
I
finally
couldn't-
here.
Well, that's all I've got, right? That's my natural state of being. We'll see who's got the chalk. We know it's Team Ruedy, but does Ruedy have the chalk himself? Doubt it. Going into game number 2 of this best of 5. Now Rudy's got the Apollo.
Quite a few people actually.
Appreciate you,
More
chat.
than I expected got the joke.
Yeah,
so
me
that's
too.
great.
I appreciate you, chat. Yeah, you can't leave that one out to dry. That's an important one.
It's the advantage of presenting like I'm 15 but being 27.
And Malum here, you get your Terra mid. You said it was maybe what, a 1% chance, and it's a 100% chance. The team like self-bans the Nuwa, and the logical next step
know if that's
is,
what that was.
The logical next step is the mask Terra build in mid.
This could, you know, jokes aside, I could see a world where this is the Happen Legacy game in mid on the Terra mid. I've seen Happen perform really well on it in support, sure, but that doesn't mean it's impossible. And there were just some buffs to that exact mask.
Okay. Gore, what are the confidence levels in Terra mid? The buffs.
He looks convincing, doesn't he?
The buffs to Fighter's Mask enough.
Ooh, you know, man, it's something, isn't it?
Again,
she's got
inflection point, right?
This is all right. Here's what makes this better than it used to be, and I actually haven't thought about this until just now because why would I think about Terra mid?
Yeah.
Because she has her dash available without leveling it up. Granted, it's a long cooldown, but because you have that, in theory, you actually have access to like some clear.
Yeah, the clear was pretty close to even.
I don't know how long that's gonna stay true.
Yeah, we'll see.
But man,
you know what? I'm excited about the opportunity to find out. That's what we've got here today. Yor finds out just what Karmic can do. Wow, Team Davy, a brutal start in game 2. It's just a pluck back from Bop, and Karmic walks forward, I guess, and Yor takes a tumble.
I think their speed run timer got a little broken, so they lost sight of the plot.
Yeah, right. Well, maybe the question ultimately is that expected over in duo, Malum? I mean, is the Sobek Apollo lane threatening enough that it's no surprise Davey got plucked back and first blood lands in that lane?
I mean, that's what you want to do with Sobek, right? That's the most simple, plain answer is you want to pluck him back and get your ADC a kill. But what makes me more interested in what we might see is this Valo, who's in solo right now, but will there be more attention? Or are they going to try to really put Ragnar in the dirt and give Ruedy a fighting chance?
Yeah, Ruedy needs it after game number 1. As fun as Ares is to watch, you're just not mobile. You get plucked and you're at the feet of Ruedy for kill number 2. Run it back, copy paste, and give him another kill. Ruedy needed it though, as I mentioned, Gore. I mean, Ragnar was just kind of bodying that lane in game 1. Question is, can you maintain consistency? Because Ruedy had it for a bit. Lost the plot a bit in game 1.
and we've seen how great a carry can do in this role and have it fall apart for them as well. I don't know. I expect to see some good moments overall. I'm a sucker for Apollo, if I'm being honest. Like, every time I see him, he's just fun to play. Watching him can be a little bit of a double-edged sword because, like, he does do a lot of damage, and, like, when he has his passive stacked, it's great. And in moments like this, he can hit really hard and get the job done, but it's doing it consistently throughout the day.
Where's that pluck cooldown?
Should be. Oh, it's not up yet. He maybe had like a second more.
Almost. And the Bastion providing some safety. Man, and Karmic is really dominating this right side of the map. Oh, he's taking some tower shots. Yor may be able to return a kill. No, he doesn't. Hits no damage onto Karmic, and Karmic gets the fadeaway. We're beneath the tier 1.
This is normal.
Yeah, look, we're descending into chaos already. Davey and Ragnar, this is as close as they've been into a kill early in this game. One more auto. Plucks the Harpy. And that sends him to his death. Now Ruedy just a few autos away from another kill. Could be a double here for the Apollo. Davey's got the damage. Who's got the cooldowns? Dark is in.
That's cheating.
Yeah, that is cheating, but he weaved in the autos. A double kill for Ruedy. But Dark rotates through to even the score.
Well, man.
Oh, man.
You can't make that up. I don't know what to tell you. Like, I was waiting for chains. I was waiting for an auto. I was just anything.
Divine intervention.
You're because it's so awkward when you're Davey in that situation because like you're the melee guy. You have to get close to him. Yes, he's more likely to hit his autos close to you, but you're not going to hit anything if you're 5 feet away. So it's good on Ruedy keeping that kind of distance between them, keeping that damage up. I can't believe he's going into this guy because he's probably going to land on Ragnar.
Yep.
they recognize, look, when your carry's 4-1, it's 4 minutes in. Yeah, you do that. You dive. You go as fast as you can back into lane. I'm just trying to figure out where they're going to try and rectify some of this, because it feels like Davy's been struggling a lot, right? The Sobek really enables an Ares demise, because outside of chaining him, you don't really have a way to stop the pluck. Once you get plucked, you don't really have a good way out of there. And so Davy's going to need a little bit more going for him to try and slow that down. And unfortunately, now they're far enough behind. It's only like a level, but I imagine if just one more kill, all it's going to take, and the duo lane is going to start to balloon one side way, way too far.
Team Davy, quick pause. We'll get back into game 2 ASAP. Obviously, you don't hope for a tech pause, but in a weird world, we're drawing silver linings here. I think maybe Team Davy needed a moment here in Malum. They were starting to get run over a bit early in game 2.
There are some places where tactical timeouts are part of the way of getting through a best of set, and this is kind of an unintentional one here. It's a best of 5. You're getting rolled in the beginning. I imagine there was a little bit of frustration, probably to say the least. There'd be glass tables broken if they were in there after that last incident at the purple buff. Still sturdy. We're good. Checking.
Yeah, mine's got the support.
Yeah, mine's good. I'm a little worried about Gore. Got really excited before we started.
See, I learned from Myth. I don't lean on it. that was the real
focus
problem.
on the chair, But overall, I guess the biggest thing for me is the kind of fear of, can you get back into this afterwards?
Yep. Quick audio issue we're sorting out with the players, and we'll be getting back into game 2. Hopefully pretty quickly here to continue on our best of 5 in the SCCC Grand Finals. And I hate that you've brought up the Mifflin desk scenario, because it just replays in my head of just how surreal that moment was, because it was just, I think we were in game.
Yeah, you could hear it through the mic.
And you hear a snap, and I just go, oh no! And then out here is just Miff. He's like, all cut up. It was just strange. But if it was going to happen to anyone,
it was going to happen to Miff.
It was going to happen to Mifflin. Yeah, unlucky. But Gore, I think a moment of breath needed for Team Dave, even though that's not the purpose of the pause. The question then progresses into, how do you convert this early game just hole that you've dug yourself into some type of stability mid-game, late game.
Mm-hmm.
Got to try to backpedal and stabilize as they were able to do in game 1.
Yeah, it's a team that again, almost maybe thankful that there's a technical issue, like you said, because now they get this moment where you have a little bit of time to, even if you're not talking about anything, you get a mental reset, right? Because it's like, this has not been a good 4 minutes for you and the squad. You and the boys have just been getting ragged on left to right the entire map, and most of it in left. So you get a little bit of a reset, try to figure things out. The thing about Davy's comp, and I was talking about this earlier as well when we were watching the 3rd, 4th place match, that bronze match, because when you have a double hunter comp the way they do, even though Medusa's going to go probably more ability-based instead of auto-based, you still have 2 hunters, right? And so being able to knock down towers later, knock down objectives later, like that becomes so easy for you as long as they get to 5 items. Like if they can just get to that 5th item, the game becomes a very easy walk through the park. So a lot of this game is right now, it can suck a little bit for you. Medusa's actually in maybe some of her best spot once she hits like 5 and has the ult. Like hopefully things in mid go well for you. You can slow things down in duo and solo, but as long as you can just not throw before like 16, 17 minutes. If it's not what J-Mac had said, like, oh, if they can get 5,000 gold by 20 minutes, that'd be good. And then they did 20K. If you can just make sure that doesn't happen, like if you can keep them limited to 5,000 gold by 20 minutes, you should be fine.
Keep forgetting we have a Terra mid. I've got a.
Yeah, I'm trying to.
I don't. I love it. I'm thriving in the
Anthony
chaos.
Malum
I feel like I'm back home.
He's buying all the happen stocks.
It's less even happen stocks. I buy the chaotic stocks. I love games like that.
You know, it's actually wild because if this was BiddyQ, I know I'd be on board with it just because like I know.
Did he ever try a Terra mid in one of his SPL
I don't know if he
games?
did it in SPL. I feel like I've seen him play it in his ranked streams.
Well, yeah, of course. I mean, he's playing anything in his ranked streams.
So maybe, you know what? Maybe I do need to buy up some happen stock. Maybe I just need to believe.
Gotta believe, Core. Rebellions are built on hope. That's what Ruedy is trying to mount here. Rebellion.
Are built on happen.
Are built. Little forced, but I'll give it to you. No, it's not too bad. Not too bad. 2-level lead for Karmic. Huge pressure mounting over in Soul Lane. Zor finds himself beneath the tier 1 tower. Can you convert that, though, into blue buff invades? Can you get Valo over here on the right side of the map and really expand upon this lead? Aim blue, just fine. It's that mid lane for Team Davy that still feels okay at this point, and hence the assistants rotating over towards right, sensing that Yor might need a little bit of help beneath the blue buff. Got to keep that gas pedal pressed down, though, if you're Team Ruedy. Try to pick some of these fights.
A lot of wards over by this BDK, too. So this BDK can give you lots of worth from it, which is why I think iDavy was hanging out, seeing if there were options, potential, but we're not there. Ruedy getting poked out. Ragnar maybe feeling back.
Yeah, maybe. Just the tier 1 item down. Remember, Ragnar should be rolling with some confidence after game 1. There is something to be said about the mental game, and how much of that got wiped out in the first 6 minutes of this game is the question. Ragnar's only 1-1, but the support is 0-3, and it's time now for Davy to make his way around the map. Gore, that's worth looking at here as well. The Blink Ares. Set of beads for Happen, set of beads for Ruedy. King Bop-Bap has some CC immunity.
I've had one issue with the beads, or not the beads, the Blink todays. Blinks today. There we go. Got there. And that is the limited amount of times I've actually seen them used when you go for it first rally. Like, Davy is level 6. I've not seen a Blink. If by level 12 he's only used it once,
where was the value?
You could have got something else. Yeah. Like, you could have got the Horrific. You could have got a Shell. You could have got Insert.
You could have gotten beads and survived.
You could have gotten beads
if
you really wanted to survive the Plucks. Anything like that. And so it is. I'm waiting to see like the value out of it. That's always the issue I have. I feel like that just comes up with Blink no matter what, though.
Ragnar ganked from the air by Ruedy. Returns some good damage. He's gonna have Davy around the corner. Davy sends out a chain. Ragnar stands and delivers. Ruedy goes down, and now Ragnar dancing behind his support, but into the ultimate goes Davy. King Bop-Bop pulled just too late. And it's a 1-for-1 trade over on left, and suddenly Team Davy with some wind in their sails returns the favor on right as well. Both lanes with a lead, both lanes drop a kill if you're Team Ruedy.
Has to be so frustrating, too, for Team Ruedy. That pluck was just, the timing of everything there was so weird and close, and Ragnar must be so mad. There was almost a chance of surviving there for the Ishtar, but the fighting is nonstop. It looks like these two teams are just down to just throw hands the entirety of these games, however long they may go, which does kind of give us some, in my brain at least, it gives us some insight into how we're going to see these rotations come through. Because one thing I have learned from watching a lot of how these SOC amateur-level junglers function and how they think is when a lot of fighting is happening, a lot of times they're going to disappear into the jungle. They'll come back after they farmed up because the fighting's still happening anyway, but now they're 2-3 levels ahead. If Valo can do that, or Dark, it could just be the difference maker.
I'm also, speaking of Dark, first off, 1-0-1's not bad, especially for Maman, but like, this is not a god that I expect to see doing a ton for 2 more levels. And so the fact that you're 1-0-1, that you're able to be already kind of impacting the game, but I feel like that's another ticking time bomb that I didn't really get to lean on too much, because I talked about the Double Hunter. I think their front line's really good. I feel like in the very near future, like within, I'll say 3 minutes, right around the Beacon fight, that's where we will probably get to see Dark either show up or fall flat, right? And I think if you start to show up, that'll get your game, or your team, really into this game.
Could be a purple buff invade here. I would think twice if I'm Ragnar, because there's a crocodile lurking just around the corner. Davy has sort of righted his ship on this Ares so far. He had a great play over in dual lane. Pulls back a few assists. Ragnar did not have to use the beads in that last fight either, so he'll have those available. A small window of opportunity maybe onto the Apollo, but with the ultimate there, it's going to be hard to find that kill as well. And I think a big turnaround here is Yor. Dropped a couple times to Karmic early on, able to pick up a kill on a nice rotation gank in from Dark. And that's forced Ruedy to play a bit reactively over here on the right side of the map. No blue buff to be invaded. Just allowing Yor to get through this early game after an 0-2 start. Really important. So maybe Davy has found the fight here. Double pull. Oh, and it's the rest of Team Davy in on the collapse. That's just fun to watch. Double pull into the series of ultimates, but does Team Ruedy have a little bit on the fight back here? Bop Bop lives for so long. It's only the 1 kill so far. Silence out from Karmic. Locks down Dark for a little bit longer. A dash back forward from Aim Blue. Sends Happen running. Davy's been chunked down here as well. So is Dark. Karmic running things. Just one stray axe may finish the kill. But a blink away from Dark saves his life. And how about this chalk on the walk forward? And Malamut's maybe Happen on the back end of the fight.
And Happen's going to find a kill on that back end. Now can King Bop Bop get away? The ring around the wall is good, but Davy did not play that game, and King Bop Bop wants some support on support violence, and he'll have it.
And it's Davy who drops to 0-4, 2-1-3 for the Sobek. Man, a messy fight. Looked great for Davy off the start. Looks great for Ruedy at the finish. And it's right there on the objective afterwards. Go both teams. Core, I think Karmic plays a massive role in that fight. It looked great for Davy, but stayed alive and dealt a lot of damage, did this chalk.
And it really is the lead up to it, right? Because they jump in, they burn down everyone that they looked at, but Bop Bop just walks away, low health, kind of brings Team Davy forward, and then Karmic gets to go, all right, now it's my time to shine. And like you said, low health bars at that point spread the damage around, be able to get a good chase, and that chase specifically into the FG pit separates Team Davy. You've got a guy going left, two guys going right, one guy going bottom right, and then the 2 guys that went right get separated on top of that. So you have a bunch of now individual targets, and so it's just let's pick up whatever kills we can, let's chase them down, let's stop some backs, and you have to let a couple of them go because they've scattered the wins. But you still get to pick up a few on the back end, and one of those being Davy, forcing them to feel uncomfortable, slow down their backs. You ruined their opportunity to get a second kill, and so you really make it all worthwhile for your team, for Team Ruedy. And it's all because, like you said, Karmic just gets to get aggressive and split them up.
Davy's a couple levels down here. Oh, Valo dodges out the Petrifying Gaze. Needs to be a big one here from Davy. Gets the pull onto Valo, which is a great target. Keeps his ADC alive, but watch out! Here comes Ruedy!
From the top row.
I don't know if we needed him, but he's here anyway. Karmic on the chalk rotation out of solo lane adds one more. Davy, a forgettable start to game number 2. Drops to 0-5 on the Ares.
Gore, you set that up so perfect in talking about the positioning of these teams during fights. iDavy got a little bit split there. Davy said, oh, I've got Valo. I'll bring him back to tower, give us time to fight. And then all of a sudden said, wait, guys, I got Valo. Was stuck alone by the Bastion with Valo. It was just the worst case scenario for how that did go down, and that was something we saw in game 1 as well. A lot of times, the difference in synergy in the fights was just so evident.
You just don't want to be there, and unfortunately, if you're Davy, you're down 2 levels. You need to get something done here, but you're in a 2v2. You don't win this.
Ragna backflips away,
jolt.
Dark's in on the assist. Ragna lives this time. The last time we saw him low health and left. King Bop Bop was able to clean up the kill. That's just a nice rotation through from Dark. Buys Ragna a little bit of space over on the left side of the map. But Valo wants to get things even, but he's in a 1v3 here. Is there enough damage, though? Happen hopes to supply some for Team Ruedy. Karmic, remember, he ran this last fight. Petrifying Gaze sends a couple away. Once again, it's Davy just sort of alone with Team Ruedy. I think this time the Ares will be okay.
The disengage there was pretty quick from Team iDavy. I feel like a big part of that was definitely Aim Blue. The Medusa ultimate was down very early in the fight. That's now the 2nd time in a row we've seen that ultimate go down way too early in my brain, and it missing, actually 3rd time in a row. But Karmic ulting for Blue, it works out, it's secured. But you know what, there's danger lurking. King Bop Bop can't find the pluck. So the big thing here for me, that Petrifying Gaze, it has to be used at the right time. You can't have 3 team fights in a row where the ultimate is finding no value. In this 4th team fight, whenever it does happen, Aim Blue's got to hit it and hit it right.
Happened a couple times. Nice pull from Davy a few fights ago. I really like. I love 2-3-man pull into a 2-3-man stun. There's just something satisfying about it. So we've seen it this game, but it's just whiffed a couple of times. One really nice outplay. Sort of stalled out one of these stuns. We'll see. Potential is there. More of a traditional mid laner, even though it's, well, more traditional to 2 is how I'm going to word it. Gore, we've seen a bit from happen in the first 15 minutes. We're now kind of at the halfway point of the game.
Yeah.
102, a little bit of damage. Hasn't changed the game, but hasn't lost the game yet for Team Ruedy. I'll let you hold that thought. Think about it a bit more. Ragna thought he was in a 1v1 against Ruedy. Oh, the Aegis, it's well timed. But Ruedy weaves in an auto attack. Again, it's Dark to flip things around at the end. So often, Ragna grabbing the first kill, and then it's turned around by Dark, and then Ragna ends up dying to King Pop Pop. We've seen the story a few times.
Really, the thing that we're seeing over there, and I actually love this, that Dark is rotating in because Rudy's been getting the better end of that trade. Ruedy was 4-1 at one point, now is 5-4 with that last kill. And you're looking at Ragna's only 2-3, so like a lot more control over on that side. Davy's in a little bit of trouble though.
He's going to be 0-6. Taking a while to burn down this Ares. Again, Petrifying Gaze that maybe delays this fight. There's a crit, a little bit of damage onto Karmic. Has now given Dark the opening for a killing spree, and Team Davy rallies around their namesake in mid. Call it a bait and switch. Davy, I believe, gets an assist there, but another one for Dark, and slowly but surely, this Team Davy jungler has started to stack up a few kills, currently at 3 in a row.
Honestly, and the thing that's standing out to me, because I had mentioned at like level 12, hey, I want to see Dark start to make the difference. Dark's starting to make the difference.
Happen. Uses the beads. That's the last bit of defense that this Terra's gotten. A killing spree for Yor after the way that this game started. Disappointment from Gormizer, and I'm sure Team Ruedy as well. It looks like Davy just content with the 1 kill in mid and a Pyromancer after the fact.
It just felt like there was no real way for that to work out for happen. I mean, there's moments, like you said, Gore, early on in particular, where a Terra mid can feel really great. The moments like that arise where you say, man, I really wish we had anything but, you know, an artillery mage of some kind. Even something like a Tiamat, where you could have dove in and gotten aggressive, but Terra doesn't really offer any of that.
The thing about Terra mid that I'm realizing watching this, and it's something that I've realized in the past, so she's Terra, right? So, like, she gives you CC, you've got some healing, her ult's real good in team fights. Outside of those 3 things, which are applicable no matter where you play her, I haven't really seen anything happen from Happen that made me really think, yes, this was the pick that made the difference.
Yeah.
It's not like her damage is doing much, although
look at it.
You've got more than the Circuit, which might actually be more of a knock on Valo than a praise to you. So you're doing well in the damage department.
I don't think it's good for either of them,
to
be honest.
Yeah, literally only one regard, and that one regard is still negative for your team. I don't know. It definitely feels like the things that you would pick a Terra for, it is doing well, but the things you need from a mid laner, it does not have.
Hybrid build from Valo, tankiness, a little bit of damage, but still don't want your jungler to be that low. Davy looks for the pull, brings one back with him. Here's the shred, though, from Team Ruedy. This has been missing. Ruedy swoops on in, but Dark with the second wind in the fight. Now we'll chase down Happen, a double kill for the Maman. Again, Davy lives so often. Early in the game, the Ares was killed off early, but Davy says no more, and he'll help Ragna chase down Valo. Dark's around the corner. Potentially a triple kill if there's enough speed. Valo's gonna scurry away, it looks like this time.
Take care of my cat.
Oh no.
Let's Dark and blink forward, close the gap. And I'm calling it an unofficial triple, because that's what it is. Dark with 3, 7-1-3, and Team Davy with the kill lead.
This Circuit just does not feel impactful at the moment. It's starting to really show in these team fights. You can't have your Circuit land a great ultimate onto Aim Blue, and Aim Blue walk away from it being half health and fine, leaving room for Dark to blow everybody up. That cannot be the way that your team fights go. And Team Ruedy, I'm sure, are aware of the same thing, but the problem is, what picks up from that? If Valo can't make it work on the Circuit jungle, if the damage isn't there, who does it fall to? Because it's not Happen right now. The damage just, it hasn't been there the same way. It hasn't fallen to Ruedy in a little bit, who's been pretty quiet since the early on laning phase of this game. And Karmic, those moments have been there. You see it in the player damage, but you need more if you aren't going to have it from your jungle mid.
A lot of that happened early in the solo lane as well. I'm thinking Karmic just chunking down Yor, and obviously has made an impact on some of the fights after that, but man, Team Ruedy falling apart a bit at the seams after what was such a great start. Davies righted the ship, as I've mentioned. I'm thinking Dark's just been such a beneficiary of those left side rotations. Few kills, few assists. It's given Ragna that great advantage. Still might be waiting for Ruedy to, again, use his ultimate to rotate into a fight that Ragnar's just not able to make it into. Right now it's going to have to be used on the defense. No Fury, so Team Davy was just looking for a pick. Only the Fire Giant up for grabs. I'm not sure Davy are going to pull it without a fight, but a momentary reprieve from the action, it seems, though. Gourmet's with 25 kills in 20 minutes. Feels like this thing could explode just about any moment.
It really feels like Davy and crew are in the driver's seat. And you had kind of highlighted it, but like Davy just hasn't been dying as much lately, and that's typically the way a tank should go, right? You should be dying less as the game goes on. But, you know, before, didn't have the Pestilence. Now with the Pestilence online, suddenly you're in a position where you're dealing with a lot of the damage because you have slowed down just enough. You've got your own Fizz, your own magical defense that now you can really start to drive things forward. Diving towers might still be a little difficult because like you're not lacking, or you don't have as much physical defense as you could, but you're in a position where when Team Ruedy shows up, Team Ruedy can't focus you anymore. They can't burn you down and just win a 5v4. You're creating space. You're chaining people, burning them down, setting up Dark for success, setting up Aim Blue for ults that set up Dark for success, things like that. So it really does feel like they found the loop they were looking for. It just, again, took a little bit of time. Now, we're 21.5 in. You've got a double Hunter build. This is going to be Tower City if you're Team iDavy. If you play it right, Sieges are your best friend.
Yeah, I'm thinking about the power spikes that we've seen Aim Blue hit now. Karmic, I mean, is squishy as a carry right now, and Aim Blue's looking at him. That Heartseeker absolutely wailing away at Team Ruedy. Valo goes in but has to leap away. Can Happen make the difference? Hasn't yet in this game, but Ragnar and Aim Blue dealing damage, and they're doing it in spades. Ruedy, though, can do the same. Rotates through, snags one, but Ragnar on the double kill is all the difference here. Is there any defense to this? Yes, Ruedy has beads and Aegis. Karmic, though, is pulled to his death. Unstoppable for Dark. And it's a dismantling by Team iDavy against Team Ruedy.
All the things that we've been talking about are just all culminating at the same time, and everything for Team Ruedy is falling apart slowly. The big thing I've been noticing is how free that Pyromancer went a bit ago because of the double Hunter composition, and you talked about that on the desk board. It proved to be true there, but the problem it's creating of the towers, and now potentially of Fire, is what does Team Ruedy have to contest?
Nothing. They got no one in range. I mean, Ruedy, I guess, can...
Don't worry, guys. They've got this crazy burst. Oh.
I mean, he has a little mana.
Surely.
He can swoop around for a little
He hit
while.
the Raven Ward. That's not cool.
He did. Is the timing going to be there for Ruedy? Nope, he's leaving. Goodbye. Team Davy secures the FG despite the attempt to steal by Team Ruedy. And now the dominoes fall. Karmic looking for a knockup and a silence. Gets it because Ruedy standing free in the back line. 2 kills for Team Ruedy have just sent the FG buff back to the grave, but Dark now joins the fight. As we've so often seen, that second win from the junglers made all the difference. But finally, it's the Terra mid having something to say in one of these fights.
Now Team iDavy retreating with 2, but they're pretty low, and Happen sees it, calls it out to Karmic. There's the damage. Ruedy on the way too. It's going to be a tough escape. No escape for your Dark, the last one standing through, but turns and gets the kill with the party trick. Gets the double kill and turns and wants to still throw hands with Karmic. Get out of there, Chalk. I don't think you can handle him.
I'm not sure Dark is going to go back in here. No, Chalk is going to teleport away. Double kill for Dark. Wow, the back and forth fight ends up with 1 FG buff for Team Davy and kills abound on either side.
The downside of that engagement and what goes wrong, it's the towers targeting more than anything. Karmic was healthy enough that if Karmic is the one who's tanking the tower the entire time, it doesn't make that big of a deal. But Happen walks in, and Happen takes a tower shot, and suddenly Dark's able to just go, oh, okay, cool, die. And then where does it reset to? Of all people, it goes directly to Ruedy. It goes right onto Karmic, the one who, if he had been able to get it, whether that was walk in and hit Dark first or get there before the minions, which I don't know feasibly if that could have been possible, but just making something like that go for you would have been the thing to change that around and probably just kill off Dark. Instead, Team iDavy, I mean, there's one guy, Dark, with Fire Giant still on his belt, so that really doesn't mean too much. But they put themselves back in the game.
Yeah, remember, Davy is still 8K in the lead at this point. That's a fun fight from Team Ruedy, but they've got an uphill climb ahead of them. Karmic takes his axe backwards. Yeah, Dark blinks the other direction. Turn and burn onto Karmic unless it's just a bait. For now, it is Happen actually picks up the first, Valo the second. Oh, it's all gone apart at the seams for Team Davy in this fight. I'm cursing him. I'm saying Davy's too far ahead, but Rudy's proven me wrong. The Apollo swoops through at the end of this fight, 10-6. Wants to add to that total. And wow, Davy with a good start. I'm not sure it's the best finish.
Karmic really wants to commit to this fight with iDavy. I don't know if it goes as easily as Karmic may think. Getting burned down. King Bop Bop on the way. Gotta be careful.
Here comes Ruedy. Block. Otto's dead. Ruedy another.
That scared me.
It did. It was a touch
so
frightening. Well, now, okay, so I was saying 8K ahead. Now it's only, I'm not going to do the math. Thank you, Doug. 5K ahead, so a big 3K swing. Gore, right? I think momentum-wise, that changes some things here as well. It's not as cut and dry as it was just a moment ago.
Yeah, when you have, well, so what, the fight prior to this was not an even trade, but goes pretty close to even between the two. And then you enter a pretty much full-on team wipe. That's a good way to really nullify the lead and the control that a team had. Team iDavy's still controlling a lot, though, because they get the objectives. But without the Fire Giant, and with that last wipe, you enter a period over this next fight that you need to control it as best you can. You need to be the ones in charge. And you've got a few minutes to think about it. You've got the gold lead, as you had just highlighted, and that translates to a lot of items. I'm seeing tier 3s even that have been purchased on Team iDavy that have not been quite fully realized on Team Ruedy. And I still think, as fun as it is to poke fun of it, but like Happen on the Terra, again, very good for team fights because of what Terra brings. Not so good at the I'm going to steal objectives, I'm not a burst mage, things like that. So what Happen does in some of these fights is very important, but the impact and the healing, the ultimate more than anything that Happen has, might be the saving grace for a lot of these team fights. And again, yes, you could get that from a Terra in solo, you could get it from a Terra in support, but without Karmic on this Chalk and Bop Bop on this Sobek, you'd be missing out on a whole lot more. So if this was what they had to do to make it work, it's what they had to do to make it work. And so far, it's not been the cleanest time for them, but it has given them plenty of opportunities that otherwise would have failed for them.
Rudy's ultimates, too, have just been on point in so many of these team fights.
Which is
That's
so
been a
rare.
big thing I've seen.
Because I feel like Apollo, like half the time, we're lucky if we get to see him ult.
Yeah, it's usually an escape tool. This is the grand entrance every team fight for Ruedy.
Fellas, I'm tired. We got 4 60-kill games in a row this morning. But it's all fun. It's all in the name of charity. We're still going here. We got at least one more, depending on the outcome of this one. Team Davy would love to clean this up. Make it a nice clean 3-0. A great showing from them. All qualifying long. But Team Ruedy has this never give up attitude. That's just been a lot of fun to watch. Ruedy, forced to use the beads, avoids the pullback from Davy. Happen with the initiation on the left. Big knock up in silence from Karmic. And that is hand-delivered a kill right back to the Terra. In the backline, though, Dark is low up against Valo as well. This time it's Yor for Team Davy that's bringing his team back into the fight. The solo laner and the support. The tanks find a way to get it done. And it leaves the door open for Aim Blue as the lone ADC standing for Team Davy to turn and burn, and a double kill for the support gives Davy some stability.
That is the exact fight that iDavy has been trying to make happen in these last few, and they get it there. Something to set up for a big objective. They've got it on fire now. The only answer being Valva won't even give it an attempt. It would have only maybe been Ruedy, and that's the problem we've touched on. That's a Fire Giant around 4 for Team iDavy. Not on Ragna, which is a bit problematic, but it's on Dark, it's on Aim Blue, as Dolson said. So Team iDavy have plenty of tools in the kit, and plenty of weapons to fire around, too.
The way they're set up now, and this is where the glory of like a double carry setup comes in, is that, hey, yes, we lost the one. Ragna does not have Fire Giant. Ragna's not even here. You still got a Medusa to knock down some of these towers early on. Not like there's a whole lot for them to knock down, right? Now you're starting to talk about Phoenix. Phoenix's pre-EFG are like such an awkward... Especially, look, with the way this game's been going, they're maybe the most awkward it could possibly be, because
It's more
I feel
like a deicide trap.
Yeah, someone's going to walk in, someone's going to die. It could be all of Team Ruedy, it could be all of Team iDavy, it could be a mix and match. It just feels like no matter what, it's going to happen. So when they step in, because of the timing they have, it depends how they go for the engage. Blink is going to be coming up for Davy, and so I could see a Blink Ares ult potentially opening the conversation. Beads are going to be down but you don't have a huge window to really operate in. At 30 seconds, they might barely get there in time, but I'm talking like, hey, if you get this pull, it's going to be with 5 seconds left on those beads at most.
What a problem we saw too from Valo and Valo and Karmic being the last two standing.
Yeah.
For Ruedy, they just had no fight. If that was any other two members, there would have been something they could have done because iDavy wasn't healthy. So that's another big thing, is watching the order of operations and who's dying for Team Ruedy. You have to keep Ruedy alive, realistically. I mean, I don't feel comfortable saying, oh, keep Happen alive in the dreams there. You have got to keep Ruedy alive somehow.
See if it happens around this Fury. That's not here. Around this Phoenix. That is here. That's the word I'm looking for. Davey are going to group themselves as 5. Ruedy have all their utility. Scorching Blinks there. Really the only relic that's down is yours teleport, but he's here anyway. Very dangerous scenario, though, to be standing in front of a Sobek. You got beads if you're Team Davey. Got to be ready, because one pluck, especially a carry, enough damage to insta-kill, just about. Neither of the two. Fight happens over in mid. Gets some utility burned away, but yours is the one who ultimately gets burnt down here. It's Ruedy who starts the fight. Happen returns the favor. It's 2 down for Team Davey. A pullback in from Davey, but he's all on his own. This fight is over. It's 3 for Team Ruedy. And just a mismatch of communication from Team Davey getting nothing done.
I don't know how that happens the way it did. Valo was in mid, and it feels like everybody on iDavy just turned their attention but didn't go over. They just turned to the side and watched for the health bars. Next thing you know, Team Ruedy takes the fight, and their type an enemy missing as everyone's gone from iDavy.
What can they get out of this? I mean, it's 30 seconds or so off of everyone else scored. Do they have enough damage to make some waves here?
I mean, with Ruedy here, you've got enough power. I mean, you just said it, but 20 full seconds before yours even back.
Are you going for the end? Are you making the end call?
I'm not walking into the end. Yours going to be back before you can get to that Titan.
Two
it's going to make it really awkward.
2 towers left on the map. In goes Team
I don't know
Ruedy.
if
Keep your eye on that Titan health bar. Aim blue. Oh, he insta-gives Valo. And the Titan's not dying fast enough. There's enough health back from Team Davey. Karmic with the first. Ruedy wails away, but King Bop Bop drops. Karmic has to back away. Ruedy, his autos are getting blocked. The minions might get it. They don't have it. The minions do it.
Oh my God.
The triple from Ragna matters not. And Team Ruedy even us up here at 1-1.
All off of the mistake, all off of the attention onto Valo in that previous fight. Ruedy took the chance. They had the new hope. You guys talked about it. They took that singular chance and ran it all the way up the mid lane, and they were so close to it not happening. What was that Titan at? 1 auto before Ruedy went down that could have been the difference? That's absurd. They pull out that win.
Triple kill to Ragna, but not enough. The thinnest of margins. And now we've guaranteed ourselves at least a game 4 here. We go 1-1. Team Davey said they want a full 5-0 sweep throughout the weekend. They got the 2-0 done yesterday.
Oh,
Will
Mental's
not
in
get
the gutter.
The 3-0, especially after something like that. Your team is in a position, Gore, to wander on in, and a disjointed team fight under the left Phoenix has just sent the game right back. And I love the aggressive call from Ruedy. I love it because it worked out. I'd be singing a different tune if it didn't. But how about Team Ruedy? Clear, concise in their calls, and they go for the end.
I'm going to be honest, and it showed that it was risky, but it paid off, so that's one of those, like, hey, you look at it in hindsight, maybe it's still not the best call, but because it worked, we can't say much else about it, but that was a very thin margin to demise, and they are lucky. If any of those cooldowns had been, like, 2 seconds earlier, things would have fallen apart.
Some relics up.
But luckily, they weren't. It doesn't matter. Triple kills on the other side, who cares?
We're doing a lot of talking, we're doing a lot of killing, we're doing a lot of smiting. It's just game 2. At least 4 in store for us here in our best of 5 Smite Content Creator Cup Grand Finals. Game number 3 coming up next.
Out here on the street, I'm losing my way. You've gotten to me, and that's my mistake. Some might say I can't get too far without seeing your face. Oh, you gave me your heart and took it away. I'm going underground, till your loving comes around, going underground, 'cause your love is not around anymore. Going underground, yeah, going underground,
Might pull up in a Porsche.
hey, we're back. Game number 2 of the SMITE Content Creator Cup Grand Finals comes to a close. And it's Team Ruedy grabbing the win. And fellas, it's looking like Team Davy is going to get blown out in the early game. Malum, they being Team Davy, come back. It looks like they're about to win. And then an inexplicable Phoenix throw, and suddenly it's Team Ruedy grabbing the win.
Yeah, kind of out of nowhere. I stand by that it seemed to be just so much from the distraction that was caused from Valo in the mid lane. It was hard to see what about that fight drew so much attention out of the duo lane, but as soon as they did it set up this weird sort of chain reaction of iDavy having to fall back and retreat. They lost too many members, and Ruedy saying, wait, we've now staggered their deaths. We can push. We've got the damage. And ended up in the awkward end, which Gore and I were sitting here, I think, in disbelief that they could end. And all of a sudden, Team Ruedy find this magical damage, which was Ruedy just not getting off of the Titan. That makes it fall.
I mean, look at this fight. Ruedy just now took his first bit of damage in that engagement. And is going to go in with the rest of his team pretty low HP. I think Karmic, again, impressed me yesterday. Had some pretty good moments here in this set as well, Gore.
Yeah, honestly, I don't know how I feel overall for this comp doing as well as it did, right? I feel like there were a lot of moments, and specifically Happens ultimates and Happens presence and healing and things like that you wouldn't have had if you had anybody else. I mean, even right here, like that ult is actually insanely massive for this team finding a victory, as well as getting that kill onto Dark right there, right? If you are making this kind of play at the Titan, you need something like that to make sure that you can keep moving. And so you get rid of the guy who could kill you the quickest, as well as slow down, get some healing, get some everything for your team in the Terra ult. And that really enables you to just continue hammering the Titan, much as Anthony had said. So, like, opening up this conversation for Ruedy making very risky plays, but how often they paid off versus how often they didn't, really kind of showcases
how
that
often
sometimes
have we ever
it's
seen a chalk end the game because Torrent got a single spin on the Titan. That's preposterous.
Yes.
I haven't. I'm not sure my eyes are keen enough.
While
to
everybody on
notice
his
that
team dies around him too, by the way.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, about a million things to watch there, and it's the Torrent that gets it done.
241 structure damage.
I'm looking for it, Gore. Where is
Karmic.
it? Oh.
Up at the top.
That's crazy.
But he gets it done.
I was looking for like 241,000.
No, it was literally just 241.
Yeah, 241.
Yep.
And it's that last bit. That might have been it there for Karmic. Karmic again continually impressed me throughout this weekend. Now it simplifies. One of our previous caster, I think it was Mifflin, hated it when you say it simplifies. He hated it when we said it goes to a best of 1. We're in a best of 3 now, effectively. But we at least have 2 more games as we go into game number 3, tied up 1-1 here. This is now a point, Anthony Malum, where we're wondering, are Team Davy going to take a deep breath, remember what kind of Smite that they like to play, and swiftly win the next couple of games? Or is this when the mentals start to crack a bit?
I could actually really see that, because part of the thing where I'm thinking is, silliness aside, all weekend long, we've been talking about the iDavy team mindset of on Sunday, it's 3-0 one way or another, we're getting out of there to watch our stuff, right? And it sounds silly, and it's been silly, but as we get into picks and bans and see things go through, I genuinely think now it's time for them to lock in, and I feel like they're probably going to, because Team iDavy's got the mindset, if we are not losing to these guys, we're not losing on a Mickey end like that. They're not going to let those things come through.
I mean, look, the team travels out here. It's the Content Creator Cup. Worlds is not on the line, but you've flown all the way out here. I mean, might as well win the tournament that you're playing in. You know what I mean? This is a team, competitive enough. I think they got a good chance of recentering. Could see a Game 5 here as well, but I think it largely depends on what we see out of Team Davy here in game number 3. Slight adjustments, notably it's the Circuit that gets banned away, and for the first time this set, unless my brain is completely failing me, it's the Charybdis score that gets
problematic.
Why do you think so?
The Charybdis all weekend has just been the pick, the golden selection for the entirety of this weekend. And it arrives, and not only does it arrive, but it's in the hands of Ragna, who arguably is the reason it initially was an eye-opener to the other teams of, oh man, Ragnar really popped off on that Charybdis. We know we can run Charybdis too. Of all the picks that could have gone the way of Team iDavy, that would have been the one I would want to avoid the most. I'm not going to lie to you.
It's also just so clean, right?
Yeah.
It's such a, like, as far as, I don't like calling, like, gods like, oh, that's an easy god. I like to point out the hard gods, but, like, when any of the gods that have an immunity built in have at least one very obvious distinct advantage, and Charybdis is, like, way bigger than everyone else's and lasts way longer than everyone else.
You hit a good maw. You're looking like SPL real quick.
Yeah, you can relax. And the thing is, like, the maw, that's the thing that's been really interesting, because I feel like, what was it, like 2-3 months ago they had a change to the maw?
Faster, yeah.
It comes out a little faster. And since then, I remember, like, that week, Trelly was just like, I've seen more resets off the maw this week than I've seen ever. And, like, that small change has made Charybdis feel way better, and like in these instances, not only are you able to actually hit them, but now you've got like a Sobek, you got a Kakal, like you've got setup. You can really do some damage with a Charybdis.
Yeah, I mean, Ruedy in the squad has just played. It's been fun, but this really scrappy, kind of confuse you brand of Smite, and I think Chalk, Camazotz, and now maybe Ardio really good at facilitating that.
I don't trust the Ardio. I instantly don't trust it.
It's going mid.
That was my exact thought. I was like, okay, man, is this an Ardio mid?
You would just say support, right, for one of Chalk or Ardio, but because we saw a Terra mid out of Team Ruedy last game, I guess all bets are off.
That's exactly how it feels, and Ardio does bring a lot of what can work. I would like it more, for sure, than the Terra if it were to go there. But it's unintentionally now a flex pick that iDavy has to keep in mind. So that's a positive for Team Ruedy. Team Ruedy does get rid of the Mammon, though, so not seeing Dark run that back, which, flowers where they're due. That was an insane performance. The 1v3 almost weird 1v4 under the tower.
Yep.
Crazy.
Liked what we saw out of it. It's a life prison. What are the red and white rings on boats that you throw to the? Why can't I think
a life preserver? Like a
yeah, but that makes me think of a life jacket.
Are you thinking of like a life jacket?
Why can't I think of what that thing is called? I'm trying to say that's what Dark was in Game 2, but I'm really falling flat here at the finish line.
Dave, you got a computer. It just brings on boats that save lives.
But the cows.
Right.
It just says life ring.
Life ring.
Life ring.
I'll call it a life
I'm going to be real. That's about the lamest thing that it could have come to.
The life ring. Coming this fall. Thor plus Morgan Le Fay for Team Davey. That'll round out their composition.
There's got to be a cooler name. Chat, come up with a cooler name. Get at me.
Yeah, let me know. So, Malum, what do you think here? A Thor plus Morgan Le Fay plus Sobek plus Kokulin? I guess I'll go all 5 plus Charybdis. Is that an equation that you're liking going into Game 3?
I like it because I like the asterisk by MLF of what Aim Blue was able to do on it yesterday. That was one of my favorite picks to watch. I just was thoroughly enjoying watching Aim Blue play that MLF, and now having it here in what these games are always the weird ones in a best of 5. It's the full reset game of where do we go from here and who takes hold and control of the set, and putting Aim Blue on something that we've seen them perform on is kind of the best situation iDavy could have found themselves in. And when you add on to that a Thor who, I don't have to tell anyone here that Thor is gonna do Thor things. No matter how bad Thor might be, he can do Thor things.
Yeah.
I really like the way this composition's been rounded out.
I can't remember if it was earlier today or if it was yesterday. I was talking about like gods that have really good level 5s. And very specifically, I was talking about how some of them... Well, I was talking about someone who didn't. Thor does. Thor's got a great level 5. Dunk, wall, hammer, spin. You
Bang,
can find kills.
gone.
You can 100-0 people with that ultimate if you connect. You've got pretty decent targets. There's some mobility and survivability. Like, Ardio lives through a lot of stuff. Camazotz has Bat Out of Hell. Chalk can Rain Dance. Apollo has the moves and his ult. So, like, there is a little bit on Team Ruedy that is going to make it hard for Thor to be consistent. Isho might be a pretty good target, though. I mean, she's got some healing of her own, and as I've learned, some pretty darn good damage. But you do have ways to try and take this god on, and again, gives you an opportunity. And like you said, with the way MLF was being played yesterday by Aim Blue, I am all in on that, too, for Davey. I think this is a better comp for Davey all around, I feel like it fits their team and play style a little bit better. I do think momentum and the way that Team Ruedy play mean that this comp might be a little in their favor as well, just because, again, it fits them. I think Rudy's feeling comfortable. Ardio's just really good. They've got a lot of survivability and healing and damage just across the board. So, like, this comes down real close. Both comps feel real good for each team.
Ruedy got the Apollo again. No matter how this game goes, if the performance is the same, might be the last time Ruedy gets the Apollo. So you've got to make that worth it as well. And happen a big game. The Nuwa is out the window. The Terra experiment has completed, and you walked out of that way better than most expected. Now you've got the E-Shell who's been performing great, so now it's just on you to make that happen.
Despite a loss, the Spaniards in the... there you go. That's a good one. Spaniards in Team iDavy's booth. Happy with the last 10 minutes or so of what's been happening for them and their team. But would love to get a SMITE victory here. Davey ever worried in their team booth. Was going to say, at least we know it's not Ardio mid. Maybe it still is. Just kidding. We got E-Shell support. Just kidding.
E-Shell solo, Chalk support.
Chalk support, E-Shell solo. Yep. Now we're talking. We had a mage solo meta for a little while.
I've seen Kama ADC. I've seen Apollo jungle by players around this level.
No, and you know what? Especially after game one and really all weekend long, I sort of wait for the players themselves to dictate.
Your brain's been broken.
The general aura of the games, right? We have had our fair share of fun sets where things get shifted around and moved around, and players playing different roles and gods in different roles. Players been playing it pretty straight here this weekend. We did just see a Terra mid, but we're all coming together in the name of charity, and we've been watching some really good SMITE, really high kill games, and one near Titan defense there in game two. But the players have been playing it pretty straight here this weekend. Gore, I think this is the type of moment, and I've referenced it a couple times. A Davey win here might just wrap this setup in 4. Ruedy win here. All bets are off. We'll see how things pan out in game number 3. We're all tied up at 1. Team Ruedy versus Team Davey in the SCCC Grand Finals. Don't you worry, it is E-Shell mid. Ends up being Ardio support Malum. I don't know what that sound was. Is that good? Is that bad?
That was a combination.
A question.
Of disappointed, expected, like, oh, hit my expectations, but disappointed because I like fun. Like you said, the vibe check, the aura of these games. I was kind of down for the game of nobody can take it here to be the wild one. Could still be.
They are taking Hazer's words from week 1 incredibly serious.
That was very, you're only here for the zipline energy. I don't know if that tracks with either of you two. I think you should leave. Anyone?
You know what?
Show of hands. No one?
Hey, Dave, I want you to know, last time I was
like
at
2
Agra's
feet
house,
tall. Ziplines scare me.
He I don't want to say yelled at me.
Yeah, well,
he very sternly told me I need to watch that.
Yeah, and you do. But I'm gonna let Agro carry that banner for me. He can carry the torch.
Well, he's not down here to continually like ping. I guess he could text me.
No, I'll let him handle that on his own. Karmic versus Yor, and again it's the Chalk versus the Kokoan. And I feel like in 95% of SMITE games we're saying, all right, who cares about the soul lane? Maybe if the jungle ganks. I don't know if we can say that between these two. It feels like Chalk, specifically Karmic, has found these openings to get aggressive and find first bloods in that lane. When otherwise it's been pretty quiet. So I think we got to keep our eyes just slightly turned towards solo for that opportunity.
The big difference in the game pace this time is while Rudy's back on Apollo, Bop is not going to be able to set up as many kills against a Charybdis A and without being Sobek B to make sure that it's like a 4-1 start for them like it was last time. And so for Davey, that's where he can really start to play. I just saw a pluck in the background, not connect though. So an unfortunate scenario for him. But Ragna's not necessarily on the earliest god, so we'll have to see.
I'm smart! I'm smart! Karmic with the solo kill in the solo lane. Your walk down. I don't know how much of a difference it made in the last couple
Your
of
map
minutes.
to Oblongata is unmatched.
Do not collect $200.
Do not, right. Straight to jail. Valo maybe here to make yours life even worse. You're in trouble. Body blocks essential here in finding that last bit of damage. They get a tower dive. No, not enough chunk damage onto Yor. But Yor without teleport at least has 4 health potions to work with, but there's got to be slight tilt associated with that. You get soloed, you're back to lane, and immediately the jungle is there to burn half your potions.
Call him the Leaning Tower. He's slightly tilted.
All right. All right. All right. You're back to neutral status after finding out you haven't seen. I think you should leave.
Hey, I'll take it though.
You were negative, and now you're back to slightly positive. Also have seen plenty of 2v2s over in duo lane. Right now, Ragnar's the one running for the hills. King Pop in on the chase. Ruedy dashes forward. The root is in, and so is the kill. Ruedy adds another for Team Ruedy, and it's almost the same script as Game 2. A kill over in solo, a kill over in duo. Davey getting body blocked on a meteor, and now doesn't have dash to get away. Are we running back the same thing here? Is the same thing
Davey
going
died.
on?
Davey didn't die?
Oh.
No way.
Nah, I don't know if Bop. Does he have the range? The root? No.
Wow.
No.
Davey was willing
Ragnar
to
was there.
die for the stick.
He was.
Which is
almost
honestly
did.
impressive and shows commitment beyond reason sometimes.
I get it. I
I'm
like
going
to die
to use
for the
all
comment,
of my
too.
abilities to make sure I get the scepter.
You know, one big thing, Gore, that you were talking about before is you mentioned it's going to be harder for King Bop to spoon-feed Ruedy kills to get the Apollo going, but King Bop, I mean, credit where it's due already. I mean, Ragnar was out of position, sure, but Bop figured out how to spoon-feed with a spatula. That's crazy. But it worked. I don't know where that one came from.
Oh, well,
I stopped
you're
myself,
getting
but it was
bailed
too
out by
late.
a fight here and by a Thor dunk. Dark begging for a kill for his team. Hammer feeds it over to the rest of his squad. Davey just used the pluck. Ruedy does have Cherry.
Oh, no.
That's going to take a second. He doesn't have the time to channel it. Dark with a double kill. A needed moment there from Team Davey because things were starting to go a bit sideways. And it's exactly what you hope for. Your Thor hits 5, and the Anvil of Dawn makes an impact.
Well, where do you go from here now if you're Ruedy? Because last time it was more clear. It was, we've gotten so many kills to the Apollo by 5 minutes, let's just keep on keeping on. But right now, it's not as clear to read, and Dark's already becoming a problem.
Yeah, he's not 4-0.
Dark was really frightening. The later and later the last game got. So in my brain, you've got to watch out for Dark. You've got to be present in mid, should those rotations start coming out, because the ult's online and Dark's not going to be afraid to use it like Gore was talking about during picks and bans. And if it's not going to be Ruedy for Team Ruedy, it's going to be Dark for Team iDavy, where we really have to watch and see what are they trying to make happen and who are they trying to keep ahead.
I'm really excited to see him because, like, the Mammon had to, I mean, we had to wait another, like, 10 minutes to the 15-minute mark before we could really see Dark doing things. The Anvil of Dawn, as you said, first off, enables Thor instantly, as we've already seen. But he doesn't fall off, right? There's other gods that at level 5 you pick up, and it's like, okay, but the trade-off is that level 20, you're not really that much better. You're just kind of hanging out. Thor's still good, as it turns out, when he hits level 20. So knowing that Dark is able to get kind of hands-on sooner, but still have, as you just mentioned, that late-game impact, that should be a breath of fresh air. Knowing the damage output we've seen Aim Blue provide on the Morgan Le Fay, knowing that, you know, Ragnar's got their own safety net. I'm going to keep going to the front line because I feel like this is going to be stronger. I mean, anything's going to be stronger than 0-5 Ares
This
for
is
Davey.
problematic. Oh, nice beats.
Needed all of it, Dark did, to get out. Gore, you were saying.
That was just anything stronger, frontline-wise, than an 0-5 Ares that Davey was piloting in Game 2. And so I think that, again, this comp plays better for Davey as a squad.
Oh, he just wants the purple buff. I was like, does he have support?
He didn't even get it, though.
No, he sure didn't. Tried. Sure tried.
Admire that.
Davey likes to
think.
commit to the bit.
He does.
He's really committed. Scepters, purples.
Guys, I would never actually play support and then ults for purple buff. He's killing it. Had some good moments. Unfortunately, that was not one of them. Splits the uprights. Field goal is good. And Villadon could stun two, but only gets one. It's on to Vallow. Beam out of Happen. Burns away some damage. Tops off some of those health bars. Oh, Davey just been left to the wolves. Vallow chomps down on Dark. Davey falls prey to King Bop Bop, and Ruedy is ulting in onto Ragna. Nowhere on the map is safe right now for Team Davey. Team Ruedy just scrapping a bit better.
Not even solo. Yor had a close call there. It has to go back as well. But this is a good start for Team Ruedy. It's what you want so far, especially with the gold we're seeing. But one thing that did catch my eye is I was looking at Happen in the mid lane. And when you compare builds to Aim Blue, when you compare builds we've seen this weekend, or the Warlock staff coming out from E-Shell, not one I feel like I've seen super commonly.
Yeah, the thing with E-Shell that, well, actually with all the mage builds haven't been like cookie cutter, but they've been a little more staple, I guess is the right word. Going into a Warlock staff, sacking it all right now has been weird, but if I remember, and actually I'm going to go ahead and out myself, I'm misremembering because it was in set 1. But we had, you know, the Chiron stacking a Transcendence. We've seen some of those. Like, it has a similar feel in my mind where it's slower, but the payoff should still be there. And if you think the game's going to go late enough, might as well. I just don't know if it's as worthwhile total.
That wall actually maybe saves Davey's life. There's always a frontliner on Team Davey that's just kind of getting hung out to dry. It's Yor this time. Just different pages for the last few minutes of game time. The first 8 of this game, the last few of game number 2. And Team Ruedy is the beneficiary to the tune of 2,000 or so gold. Decent chunk of experience there as well.
BDK down, but not as many wards on that right-hand side as you might like. But Ruedy, the namesake, has plenty of wards on the left-hand side. King Bop Bop too, so some value out of the BDK, not as much as we've seen in the previous game when there was a mountain of wards by that right-hand side. It is a slow burn for this one, but I feel like that speaks to the character selection, but there are still spots where I'm not feeling comfortable ever forgetting they're there. Dark's always going to ult in, that's the big one, but Vallow on this Kama likes to get aggressive on the pick, and maybe needs to rotate over.
Up goes Dark. Down he lands, right in between both members of Team Ruedy. Wall is separating out the Maw here. Thorns returns a little bit of damage. King Bop Bop eats the stun. Davey plucks back Ruedy, but watch out. Karmic is here. Whoa! Bop Bop just runs down Ragna. The rest of the damage was easily there from this RDO. Karmic rotates in, but largely unneeded. And guess what? This Gold Fury stands.
This should just be a clean gold. You've got Karmic here. You've already committed to it. iDavy will be the main side of contest, and Blue's not close enough.
Davey. A chance. The hope. A prayer.
Everything up.
Never mind.
Okay.
It's our job to set up the moment, but if it never arrives, that's not our fault. Davey unable to
now
even
you
make
want to
the
go?
attempt. Davey has relentlessly wanted to go. I'll give him a little bit of credit here. Vallow elsewhere on the map. Picks up a kill onto Aim Blue. Looks like over in mid lane. Aim Blue didn't even get a chance to beads, to ult, any of it. And Davey's hunt goes empty-handed. So wonderful last few minutes here from Team Ruedy. And admittedly, look, a team that Gore has self-described themselves as kind of a ranked mindset squad. And have played as such at times. Don't get me wrong, we've had 50-plus kill games. Have done a lot of this very well. Been on the same page. Target swap wonderfully. This time it's Yor. And there might even be a little bit more. Davey's already used his dash. Dark has ultimate. Both initiators will be okay. But it's really playing like a team that kind of has a similar identity with one another. They know what each other wants to be doing.
And that's, we've seen that in times where teams that, in theory, I'm going to use the Oni Warriors from last year as a really good example because it was just like, hey, here's this squad that...
And we all knew that, too.
Yeah, we straight up, who's the shot caller? It's 5 mechanical players. What's going to happen? You get 5 dudes that can play well together. And in this case, Ruedy, has proclaimed community, has a lot of ranked grinders in it. On top of that, you duo queue with a lot of these dudes half the time, and sometimes it's Bop Bop, who I think you said was like the main person he plays with, but like happen, Valo, Karmic. Like you see these dudes on your teams all the time. You played against them all the time. You queue with them all the time. And so even if you've never actually like put a team together, you've got a lot of history together and some friendship together to really build something off of.
Dark, man, these Anvil of Dawns have just not been connecting. Actually happen. Returns the damage tenfold from what we saw out of Dark. You heard it here first, by the way. Gormizer says, quote, Team Ruedy, the same, if not better, than the Oni Warriors in Season 10, end quote.
Yeah, that's the TLDR, isn't it?
Of what he just said. The giveth and taketh manner, though, Alum, of the Thor is on full display here. A great moment early in the game from Dark, but then the Anvil of Dawns have just not been there over the last couple minutes and have gone hoping for a little bit better follow-up. And luckily...
Oh, man.
Luckily with 10 HP. Nothing happens over in mid. Still might be something, though. Davey has already used his block. King Bop Bop not only dealt plenty of damage, but picked up a couple of kills here as well. Happen does not have ultimate, but quick on the cooldown. Nobody's here for the follow-up. Dark doesn't have ult either. Gonna have to have that wall, the spin to win. Man, it's just not here. An awkward fight, but Ruedy might clean things up, and of course he does. That's the rotation from the Apollo. It's just awkward, poking and prodding, a little bit of damage here, a little bit of damage there. You need the carry to come in and clean things up, and Rudy's got the ability.
Ruedy is making up for what Team Davey want to do. Ruedy is able to come in on that Apollo ultimate off the top rope, grab the kills, grab the cleanup. We were all surprised in the previous game on the way the Apollo ultimate was being used. Ruedy was making it feel way different than we usually see it. For the side of iDavy and Dark, those Anvil of Dawns are now... There's been a good one, and then there's been 2 dead Caspers so far. So if Dark doesn't clean that up, it's problematic. We've already seen he can do it. So I'm expecting to see better ones. But what's almost more important than how many people you're hitting is when you're using it, too. And I think that's might be the bigger key for Dark.
Wow, you could not have... That's
paid actor,
100%. That's wild.
That's crazy.
I mean, the argument is that, you got a little CDR, it'll come back a little bit faster, but... like if... now correct me if I'm wrong, was the blue buff even there by the time he landed?
It was dead when he landed.
So 3 Caspers now.
All right, it's a saving grace if he at least gets the blue buff. Ragna being chased down here. Bob hands another over to himself. It's a killing spree for the Artio. It's not gotten easier for Ragna. Man, this is a dismantling, and I fully admit here, fellas, just because of the storylines that have been put forward, a lot of it by myself as well. I had fully bought in to Team Davey, dominant 5-0 weekend, and I think we had reason to believe that might happen. But Team Ruedy has really shown up to play here in these finals. Karmic, double silence, double knockup, but plucked beneath the tier 1. Team Davey need to get something going here. Wonderful wall from Dark. Reparations for earlier mistakes, and Davey has the last bit of damage. But all this time happened in the backline, burning and healing, and now picking up a kill, the 11th of the game. Tier 1, short work after the fact. A couple good walls from Dark, though, has stabilized this fight just a bit further.
Now with Ruedy separating away, this is a chance for even more kills. Valo will lead the way and bring one down. Aim Blue gonna have trouble, but look at everything missing! Another dead Casper, a double kill for Valo, and Team Ruedy just won't be stopped.
My goodness. Team Ruedy at tier 1, 2, 3, 4 kills. Dead ghosts all over the place, and a Primal Fury to boot. 8K at 15 minutes, Gormizer. We've gone sideways for Team B.
Yeah, if I'm empty space, I'm afraid of getting Anvil of Dawn.
Nice.
The good news is, though,
iDavy's still the Primal Fury. That's the good news.
Oh my God. I'm taking a sip of tea here, and Davey, take the Primal Fury away.
Ragna's done literally one thing in the past 14 minutes, and that was it.
We've been on a pretty bad caster curse streak this game too.
I don't know. I don't think I'm allowed to praise anybody anymore. I think we have to just be mean.
It's about when you use it.
If I say something good about somebody,
I've never done that before. I'm so down.
Valo's 4-0, so he's gonna be the next to die if I say anything nice about him. And the nice thing is that's a good slash line. Thumbs up, buddy.
I'm glad Dark was here.
If
for
it's
the blue
too
buff.
tongue-in-cheek, do they not die? Like, how
I think
does
so.
Caster's
No,
curve work?
it has to be earnest. It has to be real. You have to literally.
I do genuinely mean it. Like, Valo's doing a great job. Good kill under mid tier 2. He has a 2-level lead. He's 4-0-5. Like, he is a hefty majority of Team Rudy's like confidence and ability to surge forward, and that's just something that Camazotz brings.
Karmic's looking for the
He's
rotation.
got that out of hell. He's okay.
Davey doesn't. But Davey has lurking in the waters. Karmic's on a big rotation behind here. He's going to get spotted out by Dark.
Rudy's ulting.
And Aim Blue. Aim Blue's lost half of his HP in the meantime. Davey backed away. Where does Rudy go? Looks like just to the rest of his team.
Gotta be, yeah.
Pyromancer. Team Rudy. It's the threat. You know, it's the potential.
That was toxic.
Nice. It was toxic. Look, Davey needed something though. And a canceled TP. Actually, maybe makes a bit of a difference there. A few more autos.
Smart and toxic.
That's right. Smart and toxic. No one has ever questioned Davey. Davey has been around for a while, and though has had to roll swap for this event. Certainly still has a good Smite brain in his noggin there. Unfortunately, fortunately for Team Rudy, their tier 1 tower ends up dropping down. You need many more moments like that though. At 10 kills down here, Gore. Team Davey's got to chip away at this lead, and maybe little tier 1 tower moments like that are small ways to get back in.
Oh yeah, and you know, we've been poking fun at it, but like realistically, if Dark hits one of these ults,
the ult doesn't go away.
Yeah, it's not like, oh, he used it, it's gone forever. Oh no. Like if he keeps missing the rest of the game, A, we're gonna make fun of it, but B, that's gonna be a demise for his team. All he has to do is connect on some. His damage is obviously still there.
I want to give Dark some love. Anvil of Dawns, not great.
Everything else?
His walls have actually been pretty solid.
Yeah.
He's had some great separators, some good setup, good stun here and there.
You only need one really good Anvil of Dawn to get your team into a great spot.
Yeah. And we'll forget about all the other ones if it's good enough, too.
Oh, yeah, sure. If you get a 5-man dunk, I don't know what you're saying. You didn't miss a single one this game. Yeah. That's crazy.
What do you mean, Casper? Where?
When you think...
I'll change history for him.
Yeah.
I'm going to let you think for just a moment, seeing if a fight is brewing here.
Well, what am I thinking about?
Whatever you want, Corey. Okay. Empty space, you know, that's what you got in your noggin right now. You got free reign to think about whatever you want.
No, that's what's in my noggin all the time.
I'm waiting for this Anvil of Dawn. Rudy dunks first, but there's going to be an Anvil of Dawn from Dark right after the fact. It connects with King Bop Bop over in mid, but Davey already down their solo laner. And it looks like down their tier 2 tower in mid as well. All this time, Ragna's had the split push. That's the downside of the Apollo rotation. Is now Ragna knows you got a little time, but Team Rudy is on the hunt. Not sure, yeah, with the teleport. It's going to be enough time, and actually Ragna's got to be careful here. I don't think he has time to fully head back to base. Canceled. Should be the dead Charybdis. Team Rudy's in on the chase here. It's just a matter of who.
Oh my god.
And a matter of when. And it's Rudy. And it's now.
I respect the effort.
My favorite thing Team Rudy just did for us is a very good representation of what like overkill can look like. Just a lot of people showing up. They get the job done though. And killing a Ragnar, like 30, I guess at the time, 40 seconds in the penalty box. It just means you've got so much free reign to work with on the left. Yes, you're going to lose maybe a little bit somewhere else on the board, but like realistically, everything you get, especially a 20-minute Fury, is just more worthwhile than anything Team iDavy can get, doubly so when they just lost their carry. Your map state's not looking too bad. Like, as a team, even when you look at the items, like, you're feeling really good right now about every engagement that you can set up. I also want to say, Ragna has been sticking with a very similar build to this, if not the exact same build as this.
Yeah, the first Stormseeker we saw this weekend was Ragnar.
Yeah, and I'm not sure if I like it much. If I'm being like, I appreciate going back to it. 0-4-1. Ragnar's obviously had some really good games, so I can't doubt it every single time. But looking at the other builds that we've been seeing in carry role, and specifically like what Rudy's been running, and how well it's been going for him this game, it does leave me wanting in the Charybdis department.
Beads and hammer away from Dark. Yeah, another good wall. That opens up about half of Bop Bop's health bar to be melted away. Up goes Dark, over onto the left. Rudy has both actives. They don't have to use the beads now, but still half of his health is gone yet again. Dark has set up this fight wonderfully, but the return damage from Ruedy is just too strong. Aim Blue melted. Ruedy rejoins, and it's a rampage for Valo. And Team Davy, they start things up, but it's Team Ruedy who finishes it.
iDavy is lucky that they walked away with 3 members. iDavy himself was incredibly low. Dark tried to use the hammer to get away, but used it too far into a wall and lost the time to teleport to it. So iDavy got very lucky. They walked away with 3, but now can they steal this fire? It's already below half.
iDavy is already stolen away. As a team, one of the objectives earlier in this game, Valo's low. Yor can still rejoin this fight. Do Ruedy stick on it? Man, Ruedy and Valo both low. Have little healing from Happen, but yeah, maybe the smarter move here, Gore, to back off the FG and reset.
Yeah, I will admit, there's a greedy part of me that wanted a commitment to a Fire Giant, but I think it's just because I like Fire Giant fights more than anything.
They're fun.
Realistically, like you said, it's
fun first.
It's the smart call. It is just objectively smarter. It's a 50-50. They've got a mage that can do just as much damage, or at least around the same amount of damage as your mage, and nobody really has that burst. So you're in that danger zone of, if we make a mistake, if we try to 50-50 this, we'll lose it. And if we lose the Fire Giant, who knows about the fight afterward? We're relatively low at that point because you've been tanking fire. I like this. Fall back. You could probably risk the Pyromancer. Force a fight here. Get a pick while the carries are off on the other side of the map. Maybe get Ruedy to rotate over once his ult's available. And then we're talking a completely different conversation.
Dark doesn't have beads, doesn't have Aegis, has
Crippled.
ult, but wow, couldn't hammer away. It's a rampage for Happen. Aim Blue doesn't have those actives either. Ruedy, I mean, he's going to get called out here by Ragna, but might not be a fight for Ruedy to join. Davies half.
Hey guys.
Yeah, hi, bye. Just headed to FG, no big deal. And down he goes, and there's not going to be a rotation in from Team Davy. Yor just farming things up in mid, and that'll be FG at 23 minutes. Over to Team Ruedy, and it's a kill on the Dark that really opens that door.
It's the kill onto Dark. The cripple timing was so good from King Bop Bop. But it's the lack of Ragna. In so many of these recent fights, we really haven't seen the Charybdis fighting much with Team iDavy. When we have, the fights have looked better, but it's been a while. And yes, there is the obvious answer of, well, Apollo can just ult over, and that's been the case in a lot of them. But now that Ragna is level 20, and Team iDavy have a chance to fight with their Charybdis by their side, as much as I like their chances better, they're so far behind. The item power spikes have really sided with Team Ruedy, and now you add fire to the mix. I don't know if you're going to get the same impact from the Charybdis being there as you might have gotten 7-8 minutes ago.
Especially because for Team Ruedy, you know, you're in the spot where the most you really have to deal with is a tier 2 tower on left. Like, that's going to give you a little bit extra gold in your pocket, which after that Fury is going to feel even better. But Team iDavy has to be thinking about Phoenix defenses. I don't know if you step up to defend this tier 2, and if you do, honestly, I don't think it's going to go too well for you. The good news is as far as their Phoenix defense goes, they've got a pretty decent comp for it, but it's making sure that that stuff actually, you know, happens, right? Davy can get a great pluck. If you find yourself under your Phoenix, there's where I want to see Ragna get a lot of damage. There's where I want to see Aim Blue step up, because if you look at them, again, player damage-wise, the only person not above them is just the support. Otherwise, everybody has a minimum 1,000 damage over everyone on Team iDavy. So Team Ruedy's been very present.
I think Dark wishes we didn't look at the player damage. Bottom in the game, even beneath Davy on the Sobek. Ragna scurrying away from Karmic. Man, Chalk is just on a warpath, and Ma having to get used early. But though, Ruedy with an answer of an ult of his own, so ult for ult. Out of ADC, but I mean, Ruedy's already here. I'm not sure the chariot means much once you're sieging the tower. You might rather have that Maw if you're Ragna, because the fight is here and it's at your doorstep. Big knock up in silence out of Karmic on the right side of the fight. Phoenix falls down to half HP. It's a burn from King Bop Bop, and yet again a root and a set of beads taken away. Dark has got a hammer away as Valo's been dealing with the Phoenix over in the mid lane. No one's died, but the Phoenixes are the prize for Team Ruedy. Left and mid, both down.
Right, still up, a double stun off the wall. This is still problematic for Ruedy, not out of the woods quite yet on the retreat.
Whoa, Valo's lost most of his health. Has to use Bat out of Hell. Well, time Dagus from Ragna.
Got it.
Valo finds a double through it all. And it's Yor who needs a shutdown, but Rudy's got the damage for the rest of the team. And yet again, a Titan is going to get sieged with a few members of Davy up. But Dark has not had anything to say all game long, and it's not going to change. Game number 3, and now set point over to Team Ruedy.
Most valuable play at the end was Valo. Like, trades out his life, but gets so much done. Creates space, kills 2, forces 2 back into the fountain on top of that.
Dark was rendered useless.
Exactly. The rest of the team could just walk forward. I mean, that was glorious from the jungler.
Such a difference maker, and it made it feel so much easier than it looked like it was gonna be. It was a similar situation to what we saw in the previous game, but somehow, some way, and that some way being Valo, the space was just enough to make it work, and boy, did it pay off when you needed it, and look where you're sitting now.
Yep, this is a great look from Team Ruedy. I mentioned it sort of at the midpoint of that game, how this Team Ruedy team, self-described, ranked grinders, they're actually playing like a pretty clean, concise, well-rounded squad here, Core. I mean, they've got these team fights figured out, and they're having fun doing it.
And into an EU team.
That's right, into an EU team. There's more at stake here than just the SCCC Grand Finals. One more game for Team Ruedy. Can they get it done in Game 4? Do we go on to a Game 5? All that and more coming up next. Team Ruedy, 1 win away from grabbing the championship here in the SMITE Content Creator Cup Grand Finals.
One opportunity.
They have 2 chances, but 1 opportunity. Game
Good
4
point.
or Game 5. Unless you count the entire set as 1 chance, then
All of the deaths have started with math so far. That's like,
This
is that
is
the
what-
rule, the no math?
Yes.
I've
Unless
been
it's
lied
math.
to. I've been lied into.
Half of
been
my
deceived.
degree was doing math, so I do math. I do it wrong most of the time, but I still do it.
I think it depends on if you can recover / turn it into a bit quickly. The no math on cast is bad when you like dive into it, and 5 minutes later you're still trying to do the math,
And it's still bad math.
and it hasn't gotten funny or informative. It's got to be one of those 2 things. This one is more of a theoretical question. Is this the 1 opportunity for Team Ruedy? Maybe. Game 4 is the opportunity after a Game 3 win. And Malamil is a pretty convincing one. I mean, this is a start that looked great for Team Ruedy. A good answer back from Dark early, but then the Thor kind of disappears a little bit later in that game. And then good team play around the team fights, around the objectives for Team Ruedy.
And at this point, too, you have to assume Rudy's got the confidence of a team that has beaten everybody's favorite going in. There was so much talk about Team iDavy coming in. It was kind of nonstop. And from the perspective of Team Ruedy, if you go back to day 1, the interviews with their captain and with the team, you kind of heard they were among the teams here for the greatest cause, charity, but here to have some fun, too, and not super concerned, not expecting too much. But now they find themselves at that point of being able to win through Team Davy, who earned their spot, the singular team from EMEA among really, really strong competition. And if I'm Ruedy, I'm locking in, I'm trying to grab everything I can that has worked, and I'm not taking any chances with my game to lose. I am trying to go into this one and take this one as easily as possible.
Gore, if you're Team Davy, you banning away the Apollo?
Maybe, honestly, it's such a weird thing. I was actually thinking about this during the last game, which is like, you know, if you compare Apollo and Chernobog, the thing Chernobog has that Apollo doesn't is that his ult is instantaneous and his dash goes into walls so you can dodge a little more damage. The thing Apollo has that's better is everything else. Yeah, like at least to me, if you compare it, like I prefer the auto attacks from Apollo. I prefer Apollo's passive, though I'm gonna be completely real. If you ask me what Chernobog's passive was, I don't know if I could tell it to you. So I know, like, I like the way that feels and the way it facilitates it. I think that, you know, having a mez for some self-peel, a dash that, admittedly, while it doesn't go into the wall, still is able to separate people because it does some knockback. You've got good clear. I think you get a lot for yourself, and obviously Rudy's very comfortable on this pick. So that, I think, even further extends it to helpful. But if I don't know if I'd go so far as to say, yes, ban that. I feel like another thing that could be banned that has been incredibly kind to Ruedy is, instead of Rudy's pick, Karmic. Get rid of the chalk. I feel like that has been treating them really, really well over in solo, and it's done great in its rotations. And that's something that every game, even when they are losing, has been very consistent for them. So I want to see that get controlled maybe a little bit more than the carry. Because I think the carry, like, I feel like Rudy's success is partially because Bop's doing well. And then it's like, if you ban the Apollo, are you still slowing down the other aspect of the duo lane?
Good question.
That's true. And Karmic was getting banned out. The chalk was getting banned.
That's the control. There, you know.
The control.
That's what we need.
Does it happen
I don't
again?
remember the results of when that happened, but let's pretend that it went really well for him.
Well, Davy and EU outside of Spain need a win here. They need a win in game number 4. A lot of Kuzenbo bans. You know, but Davy's a pretty confident
Devs
player.
in England cry. Sorry.
Yeah, we can laugh because our team is bad. And they're not playing because the Copa America.
We don't even call it the right name.
Yeah, I
compared to the rest
can't
of the
repeat
world.
the interaction I heard between Team Davy during the break, but they let's say they were bonding in a certain aspect. They definitely they talked. There was at least communication between Davy and one of his teammates. That's
One
the
of
best I can
his
say.
Spaniard teammates, I imagine.
That was the best I can say about it.
Yeah, understood. No, Apollo goes unbanned by Team Davy. The Charybdis and the Circuit, however, both get taken away. So Team Ruedy, what are you willing to give up to Team Davy? A lot of power players over on Team Davy that have maybe got some motivation to flip this thing around right now.
They could take iDavy could try to take the Apollo here
Okay.
for Ragna. That does fit the play style. And I think we've even seen that this
So
weekend.
it's a chalk ban. So Carmack not only not playing the chalk, but also not going to give it over to Yor.
It's the happen effect.
Right.
You don't get to play the god you're good at anymore.
Right.
It's too boring.
Well, and maybe that lends to the idea that if you don't ban the chalk, Yor is valuing that pick super high. So what do you value? I mean, Cucullin has been super popular over in solo. Chalk is getting the better of it. Now there's no chalk to worry about, but you still have to worry about the Apollo. A lot of things to consider. It's going to be none of the above. It's going to be something totally random.
Yeah, totally. Oh, Yi gets locked in.
What do they? I was gonna say Artie.
none
Like
of
no
the-
joke. I was gonna say Artio,
All
and then
right, you are not going to say Artio.
I was gonna then second guess it
Yeah,
instantly
yeah.
because why would they pick something that's actually meta?
So now you've double trolled yourself.
Yeah.
That hurts.
Like I trolled myself because I was gonna say it. I hesitated
You ruined
because I
your
was gonna
chance.
then make fun of it. Then
You
they
asked
locked
for
it
our
in.
goodwill.
I'm not a liar.
I believe it, Corey. No, don't you worry. I believe you. I believe you. But
I
this
only
is-
care about being right sometimes.
That's all that matters.
Yeah.
As long as you're not 0%, that's what matters. Carry number 1 locked in for Team
Yeah, I wouldn't have
Rudy's
guessed that one. I'll be honest.
Camazotz? Maybe.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Fitty.
Now, what do you think? Camazotz, E-Shell, 1-2 for Team Rudy.
I mean, I like it. I feel like finding a character for Happen that wasn't Nuwa or Terra was a big find for Team Rudy, and I imagine they feel the same way. Valo on the Camazotz, it just simply works for them. I still stand by something I was talking about yesterday where I would have liked to see some of the more hyper carry characters. Like, we still have yet to see Kali, who is a character who is performing fairly well in your higher levels of ranked play, which Team Rudy are self-admitted being in that exact realm. So, you know, Camazot's cool. Still would like to see something different, and maybe that's where iDavy can go, being back against the wall.
We've seen some good Lancelot moments this weekend as well.
I have a plan.
And was it? Now it's just been. We've watched so much Smite today. Was Horus game 1 of this set? I think we saw Horus, right?
We saw
yes.
Horus. That I'm convinced of.
Was that the Horus Chang'e?
Dwar only tells truths, so I trust you with
It was
this.
Horus Chang'e.
That was their win. Horus, Chang'e,
It's been a long day.
3 other gods.
I'm going into my
Guaranteed.
7th game in a row. We're getting there. Ares, another support we've seen a little bit here today. So both carries, ADCs, not looked at all, unless there's a curveball being thrown our way. So we discussed maybe Apollo somewhere in the first 6 bans, at least in the first 6 picks, but doesn't go in any of them. Door open a bit more now with so many of these carries left available. Junglers both locked in as well. Presumably supports. So teams can kind of target ban here, specific roles on either side.
This feels weird to say it this way, but like, so iDavy's draft feels like an iDavy draft. But Team Rudy's draft also feels like an iDavy draft. It's really
Yes.
messing me.
Yeah.
I keep looking over. I see E-Shell, Camazotz, Ares. I'm like, man, Davy's going to be eating today. Like, he's doing great. I do think that Team Rudy's going to be able to play it well. And a lot of the things that facilitate it when Davy's playing it facilitate it then when Rudy's playing it, right? Chains are really good. Bad out of hell. You've got survivability and everything in between. E-Shell, we've seen the damage, the healing, everything that she can bring to the table feels really good when we get to that, like, mid, I'll say, like, level 8. Although she's been smacking kind of hard earlier than that, too. So I really do like what Team Rudy have been able to pick up. I feel like for Team iDavy, these last 2 picks are, like, really, really crucial to does this draft work or not.
I'm expecting an Ishtar, but I'm also keeping in mind that On Her was picked up sparingly this weekend, but every time we've seen the On Her, it's looked fantastic. So that could be a decent response. I also have always felt like when you watch an On Her into an Ishtar matchup, they match each other pretty well, but On Her feels great into any 1v1, but that one in particular is really good. And these 2 ADCs, while we haven't seen many true 1v1s end in a death, they fought very close too, which has called the attention of junglers, which when you get really deep into that, On Her could spell really well. So On Her Ishtar is kind of where I'm looking, but then we can't forget the Chirons and the Medusas of the world either.
I'll forget Chiron.
And Marty.
And the Marty.
We saw Marty earlier, and he's so surprisingly deadly considering all of the nerfs that he ate, like the things that had to go because he was so good, but he does still have a lot of those aspects. They're just not quite as strong anymore. But when you compare it to the only god that I think that lines up and falls in his category, which has been AMC, it does make me wonder, where I feel like he's been more flexible than AMC, which is one thing that comes in. But, it was hey, we've got a thing that allows you to prot shred, except your ult takes you out, so you just are better AMC, period. That's
exactly.
the way people were talking
it's
about
the
him.
ultimate. It's the AC 130 get out of jail free card that Marty has.
Mm-hmm.
And you've got E-Shell, so I'm going to assume, you know what they say about assuming, but I'm going to assume that he's going to the long lane, and that this is something that Rudy's going to play.
12, what do they say?
21, 12.
Well, you know what they say.
I don't.
You guys are
Well, you know what they say.
I'm going to throw you a life ring here, Gore. I'm going to move on to the Jabalanque pick.
Hey,
and
you
the
were
Baba
right.
Yaga.
Something we haven't seen. You were right
Wow.
on it.
Yeah, spot on, Gore. Both of them. So you're turning out the lights and turning into a house if you're the Davy carries in this game. There's a period of time where those stacking items, the Warlock staff, the Charon's coins,
Even a prophetic at times.
yeah, sometimes prophetic, you would just toss it all on Baba Yaga and it'd feel good. And I mean, look, the games, we were wondering if we get hyper short games. We've been getting the 30 or so minute games. You got plenty of time, especially on Baba Yaga, to get some of those stacking items going if that's the direction you choose. And then an Amaterasu to finalize things for Team Ruedy. Hesitate to call them curveballs, but some lesser picked gods down in spots 8, 9, and 10.
The Ardio Amaterasu matchup, assuming that's where Ardio goes, right? But when we actually look at that fight, it's a pretty bad one for Amaterasu in my mind. It doesn't feel great for Ama to fight into an Ardio. It could still be the Horus, or if you want to get really crazy, it could be the Lancelot. There is a couple Horus jungles out there. We want to talk about the rank grinders. They've been influenced by a Horus jungle or two who run rampant through those rank grinds, but I don't know. I don't feel great about the Yama into the Ardio, which everything else, I stand exactly with what you said. We're in lockstep, Gore. Both of these teams feel like an iDavy draft until the Baba Yaga. Fair, but
admittedly, like, that still feels like European to me, and it's just because like they've loved
exactly.
Baba Yaga so much, so it kind of feels like the EMEA style, really centralized. I agree with you. It's so weird because in lane, I don't know if Ama's gonna have a great time, and admittedly, out of lane, I don't know if she's gonna have a great time if Ardio's there. But then you start to add, like, okay, let's say Ama jumps on someone with Marty. Good luck surviving that. Like, I feel like even tank or not, that is going to be a very deadly like combination to try and just melt through shields, melt through protections. And if you can enable that for an E-Shell, enable that for like Camazotz, especially if they're going heavy in like physical protections, Camazotz you can just kind of ignore, let him do his own thing and give it all to E-Shell and be like, all right, you just hit as hard as you can. And then suddenly it all comes together. So I really do. I like what Ruedy has. I do think there's some execution questions that are going to have to be answered, but I think that it can give them a pretty good leg up in a draft.
Yeah, now it's it's officially down to do or die here for Team iDavy, a team hoping for a 5-0 sweep on the weekend. Now it's just trying to win the final after Team Ruedy really surprises us in games 2 and 3. Just one more away from Team Ruedy capturing the SMITE Content Creator Cup. I don't think we have an actual cup, but the metaphorical cup for Team Ruedy. The question is, Malum, is there enough momentum and enough game plan here from Team Ruedy, despite it maybe feeling like slightly more of an iDavy draft? Is this still a draft that from what you've seen this weekend and in weeks prior, Team Ruedy has the chops to make work?
Oh, man. That is a tough one for me. I'm not taking faith away from Team iDavy. I can't for the life of me imagine Team iDavy going down without a fight this weekend. They fought so much. I don't think they want to go home here.
Yeah, I basically asked you who's going to win with extra steps. I'm sorry, it's the worst question
I took the extra steps, though. I did the stepping.
I appreciate it. Game number 4 between iDavy and Ruedy in the SCCC Grand Finals. Winner, Team Ruedy. If you win this game, Team iDavy with a win would push us on to a game number 5, and we will have officially gone the distance here on Championship Sunday. So a few things to look out for early in the game. Gore, both junglers have found themselves active early and often in these games. Solo kill potential in the solo lane has been talked about plenty, but that's when it's been Chalk and Kokullen. How about Ardio v Amaterasu?
Man, first couple of levels, I think I always stand by. Anybody in solo can die because it feels like that's when it always happens.
It's one misstep by a minion.
Yeah, I fought in your minions. I was too close to your tower, and you're a Hercules. Your junglers cringe and came over here super early. Like, whatever ends up happening, something usually goes wrong. And if it is for solo, it's within the first, 3 levels. After that point, I mean, I'm going to be honest. If either of them are dying, they're kind of messing up. like, Ardio feels like you've got enough sustain and tankiness that you really, and peel, especially against an Ama, that you really shouldn't be worried too much. And Ama has a dash, which, while, yes, there's a cripple on the other side, you should be able to walk away from that. And as well as, her ultimate being incredibly solid. So at level 5, it should be pretty easy for her to disengage. That being said, I've seen things go worse and go way wrong when they shouldn't. So all it takes is one person being a little overconfident and overthinking it. Because even at level 7, that's enough to kill her.
Bop Bop takes a chunk of damage here. Got to be careful for the branching bolas from Ragnar. Whether you're behind the minion wave, the bastions, you can take a little extra poke damage. So it'll be no surprise that Horus and a Xbalanque are getting early pressure and maybe first blood. Whoa, I didn't realize Ragnar was so low on the other side as well. Both King Bop Bop and Ragnar got to be careful. The squishier of the two actually has to go back to base here. Plenty of return damage from the Martikaras and those minions. And no slowing down over in the duo lane, not here in Game 4.
Not at all. iDavy did go a blink, and Gore, I'm sure much to your happiness. The Ares, this time with King Bop Bop, going horrific emblem, so no blink from the Ares. We were talking about that earlier, getting value out of your blinks, and I feel like the horrific will give some value, even if it does kind of cripple the ability of the Ares a little bit to be as sneaky with no escape.
As long as they use the blinks, I'm not upset about the blinks. It's when the blinks go for 12 full levels and it's when used once when I fall into an issue with it. So already I feel like at a good spot. The thing with the Ares I'm going to be interested in is if they feel like they can engage at level 5. I mean, you've got a lot of good disengage and run away from an Ares on the other side.
Wow, cleave damage from Ragnar is great. And Team Ruedy's duo lane is just caught in a terrible position. Actually, could get worse. Ruedy can only stand and try to flip it around, but no. A double kill for Ragnar and Davy, and Davy's letting Team Ruedy know about it. A perfect start to Game 4, something we have not seen in the last couple of hours, really, from Team Davy on the left side of the map.
Must be so frustrating for Team Ruedy that they can't seem to find a character where they can control Ragnar. Xbalanque should have been the one in theory just because it's different and it's throwing Ragnar off of that comfort, but not the case, and not the case in the purple invade there by Davy. Good attempt. Should be able to get away though. But yeah, the Xbalanque is just, I don't know, I expected it to be quiet from Ragnar. And now it's already loud and it's already scary if I'm Ruedy.
And a worrying trend is that the ADCs have had no problem snowballing their early leads. So if history is any indicator, Team Davy got a pretty good look over on the left side of the map. Could be eating my words right away, however. Ragnar taken down to half. Valo's here, has Bat Out of Hell, has Blink. Speedy though, ever speedier. Davy and Ragnar on their way out. I don't know if that's enough damage for Valo to go in under tower. It's not. Dark is here as well. King Bop Bop still level 4. Wow, Davy goes back in. Darkest of Nights. A whole lot darker for King Bop Bop. Dark rotates through. Whoa, Davy dashes in. Bat Out of Hell is baited out by Valo, and that's the last bit of mana that this Camazotz has. No Grand Joust from Dark. Just the one kill for Team Davy with a whole lot of chaos.
Definitely not the fight you wanted to, not the way you wanted that fight to go if you're Team Ruedy, but if you're Team iDavy, you're just thankful that every fight seemingly has something that works out for you. That time it was the lack of level 5 for the duo lane of Team Ruedy. I mean, Ruedy just now got it. If that AC 130 was online, that could have been a totally different fight, but now Ruedy in some trouble. There's the ultimate forced out.
Stays alive up in the sky. Ragnar will back away. No range to finish off that kill. Man, Bop Bop Seems like he's been at level 4 for a hot minute now. Gotta be really close to that ultimate. Could make a difference over there in that duo lane. Just hasn't been much pushback, and really it's been all order side all day.
The thing that's really caught me about that is, like, as you had said, like seeing the potential snowball effect of these carries. I mean, just look how hard the Xbalanque is hitting it, and the issue is that there's no return damage. You miss your chains, like things like that, that gives Ragna a lot of opportunity to work with. It gives Dark a lot of opportunity to work with, and when Dark's been running over to this lane, things go wrong for Ruedy.
Dark doesn't have his ultimate back, might not need it, does, but here comes Davy, and Davy, not the one taking up the tower just yet, but he'll be the one to clean up the kill. So a nice 2-kill swing over on the left side, but Ruedy add one over on right. Needed to see something out of Valo, and it's happened, and Valo, and Karmic, snagging one onto Yor, a much-needed answer.
You wanted the trade. You wanted something out of the dive there from Team iDavy if you were Team Ruedy. They get the one. They're going to get the totem. They're going to grab the Tiki, excuse me. They're going to grab the blue buff as well, but it's got to feel frustrating to see more and more gold going into pocket for Ragna. I know I keep bringing up that same point, but I feel like back against the wall, and I have cast a lot of EU, and I've seen a lot of these players before, and I remember multiple times seeing best of 5s. I had one with Hazer once, where when we were in it, we watched a Baba Yaga and a Xbalanque combined, and the two of them locked down that game just to keep the team in the set. It's the only reason they didn't lose there. So if iDavy was drafting this composition as a survival comp, they're in the perfect spot for it.
Yep. Would say ahead, but it's actually Team Ruedy. It's slight gold, believe it or not, after all that's happened. And it is ever slight, but there's been some good farming going on over in the jungle. Yeah, wow, just the 1 kill over on the right, but that's given a 1-kill lead in solo, and or a 1-level lead rather in solo, and a 2-level lead for Valo out of the jungle. You're seeing it come to fruition there in mid. Dark absolutely melted under just a bit of pressure from Team Ruedy.
And it's the difference of what they are doing with that time. So Dark goes over to duo, is able to put up, 2 kills, 1 assist.
Valo blink.
Whoa, no! I thought it was a kill for Valo. So did Valo.
Yeah, I was about to praise him too.
Well timed. Well timed, Team Davy. They steal one away there. Valo unable to get into Bat Out of Hell. Otherwise was locked down. Happen takes a chunk of damage from Aim Blue as well. And just needs a bit more from Davy. King Pop Pop runs down Aim Blue. And Happen will try to do the same to Davy. So really a forgettable moment rather, for both teams in mid. Killing off that Baba Yaga. Nice prize for Team Ruedy.
Not the blinks you wanted, right, Gordo?
Yeah.
Uh-oh, no escape?
Yeah, Davy is going to get pulled back, but Dark is here to provide support to his support. King Pop Pop's going to step forward. Valo's back after dying just a moment ago. These long, drawn out, poke and prod. You're not going back. I'm coming back in the fight. All that's been a lot to follow.
And that jungle lead has all but disappeared because Dark, before it was go over, potentially die, and lose out farm. Now he's just getting kills.
That was the last bit of mana Karmic has. Just a bit more. Maybe one more dash around the corner. Yep, got it. And escapes and lives this time. Stun onto Bop Bop. And Yor will get his first of the game. Valo unable to assist. What's going on here on left? Ragna's going to get a kill. It's got to happen quickly because Happen is on his way back from base. He's able to do so. Looks like he's going to get away as well, unless Happen can slither his way through the jungle here. We'll have ultimate for a little bit of range. Ragna sustaining up just a bit.
The minions for Doomorb.
Knows that the E-Shell is here, and Ragna gets out cleanly.
I was kind of hoping Happen would try to get the minions a bit quicker, get Doomorb cooking up, then combine with the movement speed. It would have been closer, but I still don't think that would have been a confirmed kill. But just chaos across the map, and what we've seen so far, if you had asked me going into the set, which of these two teams would thrive off of chaos and who would emerge from it the better team, I would have assumed iDavy. They fought a lot throughout the Content Cup, even with the Content Cup starting before the revert to health. They were still fighting a lot, but it just hasn't been the case. It almost feels like the more and more chaotic a game is, if it stays chaotic late, Ruedy got comfortable in the chaos and they thrive.
You want to scrap? They'll scrap. But the minute you start taking it into controlled essence, as you had said, like that's where it can really start to fall apart. And that's something that Europe historically and the EU or EMEA as a whole, as a region, have been really, really good at in terms of controlling.
I was gonna say, it feels like Karmic's taking no damage. Wow, actually gets the ultimate out of Dark. Root, good enough. Dazzling offensive, stuns out onto 2. That'll keep Karmic alive. Do you one better? He'll bait out Davey because King Bop Bop is here. Bop Bop pulls 2. You need Happen to supply some extra damage here, and Valo might just chase down Dark on the right side of the fight. Yes, indeed, and it's the Camazotz on the follow-up after Rudy's front line played things wonderfully at the beginning. Out of hell, not needed by Valo or Bop Bop. But the Darkest of Nights comes through because Ragnar will solo Ruedy on left. Man, a win for one team on one side and a win for the other over on left.
More chaos. That's the name of that fight. King Bop Bop used a teleporter to come over, had a decent look from behind in that fight, and iDavy just answered with a great ultimate to get everybody to the skies and to safety, minus Dark, who was a little bit left behind. King Bop Bop might be more than behind, might just be dead.
Yeah, he sure is. Yours the one who gets it, but Davey with a great rotation back through. Is Ragnar in trouble now? Looks like some trouble. Valo still has Bat out of hell. A little bit of blink back through from Dark out of nowhere, but Dark may have made the wrong decision. Almost damage turned around. Dark's got to leap away. Still a chase down from Valo. If that had connected, maybe seeing a Bat out of hell, but everyone lives over on left. And it's the neutral objective pickup for Team Davey over on right.
Good response. The fact that you were able to keep Dark alive in that situation and the BDK was secured ends up working out pretty nicely. It's everything around it that is still... It's so weird. The kills, 11-4, feels so safe for Team iDavy. But you look at charts, they're not great for Team Ruedy, but they're not bad either. And the state of this game doesn't feel like the way it's actually presenting itself.
It's like it's really like a left versus right matchup on the map. You know, it's a 4-0.
Yeah.
The left side for Ragnar, and then you got a 1-level lead in both solo and jungle for Karmic and Valo. Luckily for Team Ruedy, Ragnar's not playing one of the global ult-type gods. Otherwise, this 4-0-5 ADC would be brought to their doorstep on every single fight, but Ragnar's had to stay put over on the left. He's going to receive a lot of damage from Ruedy. Ragnar smartly backs away. Want to keep that killing spree alive. Not hand any shutdown gold over to Ruedy. No light rings. The ADC that's behind on the flip side. And a momentary reprieve here, Gormizer, in a game that's otherwise been just full of action at every turn.
And they are in a setup where, you know, even though, as you had highlighted, you don't necessarily have Ragnar on something that can be around globally, it still has global presence, at least in turning off the lights. And that, at least in some instances for your team, can be really, really helpful. I'll admit, I prefer it. I mean, he's 3 levels up. You're 4-0-5 versus the 1-4-0. Like, use it to get the extra range on your autos and just beat down Ruedy. I really do like the idea of playing through Ragnar as much as you possibly can. I feel like that's where iDavy has found success, is when they keep the hot hand hot, right? Keep Ragnar, who right now is doing incredibly well, doing well. Keep making sure that goes up, because if you look, like Valo is hanging out on this side of the map. Valo's looking for something. Valo's trying to find a way to get Ruedy back into this. And if that starts to happen and they start to find momentum and they strip away the strengths of the one carry you have, that's where you start falling apart.
Ragnar's just so far ahead. I mean, fully stacked Soul Eater and Jotun, sure, but I mean, a dominance. Full third item for Ragnar in lane right now. Tried to make use of it. I have to imagine Ruedy has a little gold in the back pocket to go back and spend. I don't know if it's quite the full item lead there for Ragnar as far as actual gold value, but on map right now, it is. Valo, unhappy. Take a quick pause, and we'll let you know what that's all about. We're going to be getting back into game number 4. Writing for a game 5 might be on the wall here. However, both of you have made emphasis on the point that kills are telling one story, and it is still a great look in the early game core for iDavy.
Yeah.
But it's not a 5K lead in either of the two categories. It's 1.5 ish in both. So not a lost cause for Team Ruedy.
Yeah, it really does depend on how they rally. With early game kills, a lot of what changes that pace and shuts it down and turns that into a win is, cool, we're killing you still, and we're getting objectives now.
Yep.
We go to the Fury, we go to the Pyro, and you can't fight us there. And so if Ruedy is able to kind of right the ship before they die out of Gold Fury and can fight at that at least, and even if you lose it, at least take out like 3 of them with it and something like that around a Pyromancer. Like if you can set all of that up, your team can still find a lot of that success. But it is going to be necessary, and I'm looking at Ruedy specifically, to not let that guy get a 5-level lead, a 6-level lead, to the point where you feel like you're absolutely useless.
What is Davey looking for here? He's looking for Bop Bop, and he's found him. Aimblew's got damage. There's 3 of Team Davey. Have eyes for the Ares. It's already died 5 times this game. But no tangible XP lead on the map just yet, and either of the 2 supports, so good looks by Bop Bop being able to farm up nicely despite dying a hefty amount throughout the early game portion. Is the lead enough now for Team Davey to get over to this Gold Fury? Dark has taken a lot of damage from the Fury.
Rudy's there.
So can Team Ruedy stop the back? Maybe look for a fight. Bop Bop's got chains on 2, but only Davey gets pulled back. Ult from Happen has done its damage, and it's healing, but the healing's not enough. Ragnar with 5 in a row. Still a great shutdown target, but nobody's been able to find the backline. It's not going to start now. Ragnar steps forward. He's got both backliners at Team Ruedy on the back foot. Dark blinks over the wall, but he's taken too much damage from the Marty. Now Ragnar's got more than he's bargained for. A double kill for Ruedy and the shutdown, and an overextension from Team Davey.
Yor and Davey still hanging out, but nothing to be found. I cannot believe that Valo was able to survive. A blink to reposition just to make it safer, but the biggest thing was the rotation from Ruedy. Sniffed out the Gold Fury early, hung out by the gold, made sure that everyone from Team Davey had disconnected from it. Then Ruedy walked up and was able to take it onto a fight that was already over, but full health with ultimate, because he just waited the correct amount of time. It worked out so great for Team Ruedy, and fights like that are the biggest problem child of Team iDavy, where it feels like they overlook one small aspect, and then they do that for 3 or 4 fights, and then all of a sudden the lead you had is gone. Even the map state control you had is just gone.
And the thing that really stands out, and this goes kind of back to what you were saying when we took that pause, Dave, but like, kills, they're still in favor of iDavy. But if anything goes to show how little that can matter in terms of everything, it's where the state of the game ended up right after that. And if this Pyromancer, depending on where or who it could go to, it can change it again.
This is a pretty big fight here. Can Bop Bop find the big pull that he's been looking for? Maybe just the body blocks. Chains are out onto a few. Nobody gets pulled back. Actually, Davey's the one who sticks around. Karmic's got the chase down on the front line. It opens up this fight. They just close it off. Davey body blocked, burned on down. Happen's done the same. Wow has found the roundabout kill onto Aimblue over in mid. Fellas, feels like the wheels are starting to come off for Team iDavy here just a bit. They were so clean in the early game. And things like this, just uncharacteristic mistakes, have handed not the kill lead yet, but the goal lead handily back to Team Ruedy.
It's so wild that after all that, they're still behind in kills, actually.
Yeah, I was going to say, if there was a vibe stat, sure, that belongs to Team Ruedy.
The
now.
aura.
the aura stat. Yeah, the aura stat is all
Aura
Team
charts
Ruedy.
are crazy for Team Ruedy. But what do we think goes wrong?
Where do I begin?
You said it earlier. They're just split up.
Yeah, there's so much miscommunication in these fights with Team iDavy. I was watching. So Ragnar and Ruedy did not 1v1 during that team fight. Ragnar chased Ruedy away and had opened up the teleporter where he was by the teleporter and Ruedy was up by green buff. And I kept expecting Ragnar to take the teleporter to try to get to that fight because it was taking so long. Didn't happen. The fight ended, and by the time everything was said and done, Ragnar almost died to the rotation from the leftovers of the fight. And it just all goes back to that miscommunication, that where is everybody when you need them most, because they're all right there, but yet they all feel so far apart.
Karmic. Something going on to Ragnar here. Already has a shutdown, so no shutdown to be gotten. Melt over from Davey. Gold Fury's still up after all that's said and done. There's still a Fury to be captured.
Not here.
You're right. Valo alone over on the right side. Only 2 minions as well. The tower has taken a decent chunk, and the other minion wave is going to get there. So Team Davy not able to get anything done despite the jungler, the 4-1-4 Camazotz being alone on the right side of the map. So Team Ruedy go hunting. They've caught Ragna, uses Darkest of Nights, and his Aegis, and his beads are still down. Will not get pulled away because of the dash, but Karmic's got easy chase down, and Davy's not going to fare much better. Bat out of hell swoops away once more. I lied. Davy did fare better, but took a little bit of everything. And man, what a turnaround from a 5-0 start on the Jabalanque to 5-2.
That was, and I saw Mal, you shook your head.
I got so upset.
That might have been the perfect scenario for Ruedy for exactly the reasons we were just saying that it was so good for Davy, but it's because we see Valo show up. It's the only guy on right. Maybe he gets a tier 2. With that full minion wave, he might get the tier 2. Davy responds by sending 2 immediately over to right, and then there's 1 hovering kind of between mid and right. So 3 people are going up against the 1 Camazotz, who's known for being able to get away, and the rest of Ruedy just stay in left, and they're now suddenly in a 4v2. Yes, you can march forward and win that fight. Yes, you can march forward and take a tier 2 and go back and get a fear. Like, it was one of those moments of if you make a stalwart defense there, you are fighting a 5v4 in your advantage if you're Team iDavy, but you have to step to them. That's going to be the problem. They're not going to dive. But the minute they separated, that became Ruedy's fight through and through, and Valo still almost got stuff done.
Yeah.
Yep. Well, yeah, I mean, at the very least, you got to not die, right? I mean, you know that Team Ruedy has got 4 people over on left. You know their jungler's over on right, and Team Davy just a bit caught out. And now the wheels officially have come off the bus. Kills are even, but we're starting to spiral out of control just a little bit here. I thought Ruedy was in for a really brutal game, and is maybe in for a brutal gank. As much as things have turned around, I don't know if he's going to fare better against Ragna plus Davy. Wow, that's a lot of damage. Might be eating my words here. Ultimate is down. But Ruedy's standing and fighting, avoiding the dodge, or avoiding the stun, rather. And the reinforcements have arrived. It's Karmic on left. Whoa! Obliterated as Ragna, as Ruedy outplays the 2v1 and gets support from the squad. Rampage for Valo. And not only a gold lead and an XP lead and a kill lead. These are mental breaking moments now for Team iDavy. It seems like Team Ruedy has just got everything working in their favor.
They have every single answer. I mean, they're reading. They have 2 playbooks in front of them, their own and Team iDavy's, and they're just following along and saying, "Oh, well, we can just do that. We can just go here. We'll beat them there." It's just working every single time. This Fire Giant is such a good call too, because you've got the 3 dead, but on their respawn, you've already seen they're either split or Team iDavy is slow to react.
Didn't expect it, Core. I thought the way the first 5-10 minutes of this game went.
There was a serious point where I was like, all right, game 5. I'm thinking if they keep this momentum up, we're going to go 5. We'll see what happens. And like, there's always a little bit, because you look at Team Ruedy's draft, and it feels like it's good to have in a fight, because it's got a lot of prot shred. It's got a lot to try and control, and again, survivability. It's got some decent setup, but like, Ares can be hit or miss. Ares, very similar to Ymir, is like, he's a guy, well, he's 1-6 right now, so maybe my point still stands. He usually has an incredibly negative slash line, but he also always gets the job done at the end of the day, and that's kind of, we saw it a little bit from Davy earlier, where just sometimes you stick it out long enough, and Bob's done that, you get to do a lot. You were looking at, I believe, like 1-4 or something for Ruedy, where he was getting absolutely just decimated in lane. Ragna had complete control. And then suddenly we're now looking at it, and Ruedy's the first one to hit level 20.
20. That's crazy.
Ruedy's the one who's going to be doing a lot more in terms of the damage, although it's only a couple thousand, but that couple thousand can really stack up over the course of the next couple of fights. It's getting something done now with a Fire Giant in an awkward time because it's too early to be enhanced, so Phoenixes become a little more difficult, right? You need your minion wave, and it's still pretty easy. A Baba Yaga has a lot of good damage, can clear things pretty well. And then knocking down that tier 2. So that's really like your goal for this Fire Giant is either to get a little extra gold in your pocket on the right side of the map, maybe put some pressure in mid, since it seems like that's where they're trying to push up. Find a solo kill somewhere if you can. But you need some picks to open up those conversations. Otherwise,
do not split.
Do not split. Both for Ruedy and for Davey. Maybe more for Davey. We're going to underline that one. Do not split. Make a unified defense.
Yeah, Rudy's got to keep on keeping on, but Davey's got to lock in with that. I mean, if they got to put like a Hitman contract, a picture of one of the other gods on their monitors to lock in on who to all look at, they've got to do it.
This is your target, Agent 47.
Yes.
Nice.
That was good. That was good.
Amaterasu has officially reached annoying
It's just a
point
picture
because
of
of
Ruedy.
this. I mean,
Just kill him. Just like get rid of him.
Yes. This guy.
crazy auto attacks. Look at this. I mean, Amaterasu just wails away, burns down targets. It's annoying. And a stun would have been there, but Dark answered with the up down of his own. No damage put into the Phoenix, but Karmic's going to heal up, maybe turn right back towards it. And it is a full-on separation here from Team Ruedy. Valo gets the mid Phoenix. Karmic gets the left Phoenix. And now the team might be able to fight, group up, get the right Phoenix. Perfect split pushing from Team Ruedy.
They might just be stuck now. Team iDavy have got to figure out something on this defense. You've got the right Phoenix still standing. That's got to be the priority. You can't get split again. They fell forward again. I mean, you have to go respond, yes, but the way they're doing it just doesn't seem to work out. Now Team iDavy, one last chance to stay alive, and
Ooh.
King Pop Pop's going in.
King Pop Pops has chains on threes, taking a lot of damage in return. Davies ulted forward, a grand joust in from Dark as well. Gotta kill Pop Pop. Ragna able to do so, and a shove back from Dark and burn from Aim Blue. May have just kept Team iDavy in this game. Ragna backpedaling, dishing out the auto attacks, but it's a double kill from Aim Blue. That's made all the difference here. But time and time and time again, it's been Valo with the second win in these fights. 7 in a row on the Kamazots, but will not have the dive to get to Ragna, to get to Aim Blue. And it looks like Team Davy have done enough.
I liked the idea from Valo just now, and actually from Karmic as
Oh,
well.
no.
Karmic's going to go for a little bit more. I love it. Even the prediction
This is a
as
disaster.
well, just to chase him down. You might lose your life
No,
just
he's
because
gonna
Ragna's still there, but you've got Valo nearby who's healed up. Like, you still have way more presence than your team really should around this Phoenix line after losing 3.
Great moments from Team Ruedy, good moments from Team Davy, but at the end of the day, you've still lost all 3 of your Phoenixes. Took everything Team iDavy have just to push back the invasion of Team Ruedy, and almost got it done there, Malum. But the key players here, Karmic, Valo, the last 2 alive, not just stay alive, but they make some serious waves after the fact.
They did. I'm going to go to the defense from Team iDavy and look at Aim Blue. Something we did discuss early on in the game and a bit in picks and bans is there is defense potential. I even said that if this is your last chance team for iDavy, they drafted really well. You can hedge your bets. You can put your last lifeline on that Baba Yaga, and with the house, she can lock it down. And she did. That's the only reason that they were able to stay through. Ragna was pulling through with damage. We saw your dive really deep, but the Baba damage was there. But now you have to keep doing it. And the biggest problem to me is now you have to do it with no Phoenixes up, and with the stagger between the solo Phoenix to the air quotes good Phoenix and duo, it's even more complicated. It keeps you stuck in base. It gives fire for free to Ruedy, which thankfully not an EFG, but still just as problematic, and I simply don't know what Team iDavy is going to do to make this defense work. You've got everything up, you've got Baba, but I don't know if there's enough answers there.
There's always that dog pile moment, right, Gore? I mean, you can just kind of, let's group as 5 and see if we can walk and burn down the Titan. We're not going to lose if we, well, you might if you get fully swept, but you got a little room to play with.
They're looking for it. They're considering it. Ruedy
Davey.
stepped up. Davy's got to step back.
Pop Pop's got to not lose all of his health this time on the initiation. Davy repositioning, looking for Ruedy, but Rudy's gone to the sky. What's happened to happen? He's been run down.
Oh my god!
What's happened to the Titan?
Where'd it go?
I'm watching the fight, and the Titan's getting burnt down. Happened to me a couple times today. And the most important of all in the SMITE Content Creator Cup, it's sticking in North America, and Team Ruedy with the upset over Team Davy.
And after game 1, I mean, it was hard fought, right? We talked about it a lot, but it went back and forth between them. The way this set progressed was similar to how we had described, but not the team that we thought it was going to be. I figured that if Rudy's wins were going to come through, it was going to be hard fought. And I think all of them were. That one especially. But there were moments where it just snapped, right? It found like they found the breaking point. They found the hole in Davy's armor and just went through it as much as they could. Again, being able to find those wins and turn things around. And it was never oh, this is the god that's really breaking it open, or this is the individual player. I will give Karmic a special shout out because I feel like he was absolutely insane. But like, it really does feel like everybody on the squad had the moments that they needed to. Yeah. And I'm still like going back. Like, I feel like the real turning point set wise is game 2 when they get that win, when it's this haphazard, just throw it at the wall and see what's sticking.
Right. All of a sudden it's all sticking.
And then it's like, oh, we won, okay. And from there, it's just a mental boon, I feel like, in every other game. And you get so much damage. Like, Rudy's just hitting so damn hard in all of these autos. It's insane.
We were looking for the auto stim hunters as being the solution, the answer for Ruedy. It ended up being one of the ability hunters who we were starting to kind of put in the back of our brains. The Medusas and the Martys of the world and the Chirons, they're cool, but we were looking at the Charybdis, the Apollo, the Ishtar, but the answer lied in Marty.
It did.
In Marty we trust.
In Marty we trust.
We sure do. Team Ruedy does, that's for sure. Yeah, how about a 3-game turnaround from Team Ruedy after dropping game number 1, as you guys have mentioned here as well. Some good Smite for a Content Creator Cup down here at the end of this long road that you guys have gone on.
Possibly the last Smite 1.
It's been a while, because like a lot of the time we were, every week there was the prizing graphic, right, where we got to talk about what they got, and it was like access to Smite 2 development. They got to play in a few play tests. Tour of the studio, they got that. Additional loot and goodies. I can't remember what we decided that was going to be, but they all have really cool branded shirts, and there's probably a lot of other stuff that I haven't been aware of because we've been in here. But the other thing was, and this was the big thing we kept talking about, was the donation to charity on your behalf.
Right. The biggest thing.
And it was going to be based on your seeding. And so specifically for Team Ruedy, playing for the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society, getting first, that's a huge deal. Again, I kept saying like big wins for charity all around. Big wins for them. They get to take out an EMEA team that everybody was favored. You get to win for your charity. But again, there's donations to everybody.
Yeah,
so
everybody wins with charity. That's the most important thing.
But charity?
With
charity.
Yeah, I thought that's what I said, but I had a brain fart.
In fact, everyone loses.
It's a long day for everybody.
Yeah, it is. A long day. I mean, out of a possible 8 games, we've gone 7. Couple crazy endings in this one as well. 2 really surprising ones, but before you know it, the Titan gets dropped here in game number 4. And it's just such an easy team to root for. They're coming in, no real chip on the shoulder, just some ranked gamers
just some
playing
dudes
together.
being guys playing games.
What did Paul always say?
That's how to do it.
I'm just gaming.
I'm just gaming.
Is that what Paul would always say?
That's Paul. I don't know, man. I'm just gaming.
And what an appropriate send-off if this is the last Smite 1 tournament that we have, especially within the studio, of just having the ranked grind and sweat and good vibes for Smite 1. That's what Smite is, and that's what happened.
And doing it for charity. There's been a lot of charity support from hi-rez and the Smite, Paladins, hi-rez Suite of Games communities over the years, and the Smite Content Creator Cup. The next in a long line of a lot of good history with hi-rez and charity, and a lot of fun. Again, a lot of good Smite to watch for the last few months and here this weekend. We actually have the winning team standing by, so I'm going to grab this microphone, head on over, and interview the fellas here. It's got me there at home. All right, the whole squad here. I'll just do one of these. I'm just going to end up moving down the line. No, this is a wide-angle shot. I can't do one of these. So the namesake of the squad, let me just ask you straight up. Did you expect the full tournament win coming in here this weekend?
Yeah, probably not. I'm a little surprised by what we have achieved so far.
Well, we're proud of you guys.
We actually do work quite well together, surprisingly.
Agreed. We were saying that on the cast. This is a team that kind of all felt on the same page here this weekend. Appreciate you, Aaron. I'm moving on over to you here. I don't know how the camera angle is going to work.
We'll just step over to the side. We'll step to the side.
What do you think gave you guys the edge here over Team Davy, the tournament favorites, but you guys found a way to get it done?
I mean, I was amazed that they're tournament favorites. There's no EU teams for a reason, so it's just incredible what people will make up. So, yeah, no surprise to me whatsoever. I thought, waking up this morning, I asked Ruedy what he thought of Ragna, and he said, I'm just going to play Smite, and it's going to be an easy dub. So, and that's exactly what happened.
Yeah, chaotic duo lane, and I'm going to go over to the support here, talk about the duo lane. Yeah, King Bop Bop, you were maybe talked about as maybe the potential to throw, but it felt like one of the many carries for the squad here towards the end. What made the duo lane go the way it did here today?
Well, to be fair, there was some throwing in some sets. I'm not, to be clear. But I think I did pretty good. Me and Ruedy just, we like to run it down, and that's what we did. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, but it worked here, so.
It sure did. And we've talked a lot about the EU versus the NA mentality. How important was it to you to grab the win for NA here today?
Yeah, it was my one goal to make sure NA came home with the dub because I didn't want EU to start being like, oh, we should add 2 spots. So as anything goes, that was my #1 goal going in.
Yeah, a lot of L's for England specifically today. Unfortunately for them, I don't know if you guys talked to them between games or not, but brutal. Talk to me about this jungle matchup. Felt very back and forth, really all set long. What gave you the edge?
Yeah, well, I had a terrible performance on the circuit, but we turned it around with a quick game end, and then I just found the Camazotz, and it was going crazy. I don't know, it was fun.
Yeah, no answers really. It was a lot of fun to watch. All right, final question, and this is great because I've already talked to the rest of your teammates, so you get the final say here. I don't think we have like official MVP voting. Yeah. But if you're going to hand the MVP to anyone, and it can be yourself if you want it to be, who you giving team MVP to?
Definitely not giving it to any of these guys, bro. Like, for sure not. Yeah, I don't know. I was just kind of dogging that guy. Like he got his 2 like in game 3 for some reason. He was nervous as hell. I don't know. I'm just chilling.
Got it. So maybe MVP on over here. Well, Team Ruedy, I appreciate it. Congrats on winning the SCCC. Is that enough C's? No. SCCC. Either way, Team Ruedy, you're winners of the SMITE Content Creator Cup. Appreciate it, fellas. Congrats. And I don't know if I'm walking back to the desk or the camera's going back to the desk, but I'm coming back over. Go ahead, Gormizer.
Yeah, I can take it while you put your headset back.
What an interview.
You're still walking back over to the
No
desk.
MVPs.
No MVPs. Nah, everybody on
Just
that team's
vibes.
an MVP. They all just played incredibly well. And I think that's really, you nailed it on the head when you asked them, but like coming in and having this team, I love the Rudy's immediate response to if they thought that they would be the team that won it, and he was, no. And it's just, that is the most like, yeah, we were just coming in playing games like this is a team that you can tell was put together just to hang out and to play, for funsies in March, and then it ended up becoming way more than that as they realized, like, as we said, as they said, a team that worked way better than you would think a group of people you just kind of threw together would work.
Yep. Take a look back at the weekend. If we showed the entire SMITE Content Creator Cup bracket,
this would be a very tiny screen.
Yeah,
you would not read anything.
It'd be as long as a bracket as there are C's.
We'd be here for a few days. No, but it's Team Ruedy. Wow. Taking the win here in the best of 5, 3-1 over Team Davy. And they really get tested this weekend. Team Ruedy do 2-1 in round 1 against Team Castic, and then 3-1 against Team iDavy here in the finals. And although it's a team that's having a lot of fun and joking around with one another, I appreciated the sincerity in what Ruedy said. He said, yeah, we didn't really expect to win, but we work really well together. Mm-hmm. And I think you have to work well together going up against Team Davy, Malum, especially what we saw from that team. And so, very deserving win.
A deserving win, and, for me, I am always big glass half full, but now especially, because hearing that from them and knowing the future on the horizon with SMITE 2 around the corner,
who knows?
I hope to see teams like that, be it the Rank Grinders, be it the Team Rudy's, the Team iDavy's, whatever it may be, maybe consider grouping up going forward. I think this was, like I said before, the perfect type of send-off is just getting the heart of what is SMITE, and that's just the Rank Grinders who become friends and lock in a tournament just like this.
God, it's easy to get emotional about SMITE. You talk about people just getting together, playing games, friendships, and relationships, and tons of great stuff come out of the SMITE community. And a great game number 4 that we're going to get a brief look back on here from Team Ruedy. Because remember, it's Team Davy really off the get-go in Game 4 that we're feeling pretty good about.
Yeah.
Fellas. We're thinking Team Davy
for
might
several
show us
minutes
onto a Game 5, but instead it's Ruedy that kind of weathered that storm.
Even when Team Ruedy started getting kills, they were behind in kills. Even when they were winning the game, they were behind in kills. That's how the fights were going. again, it's just really impressive. And I'm going to steal this because I don't know if you were going to or not, but I'm going to make sure it happens. Again, so all the teams were getting donations to charities. I'm just going to name all of them. If you can at home, you can contribute as well. Ruedy was playing for the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society, as we just said. Team iDavy playing for the Atlanta Humane Society. Team Caustic was playing for St. Jude's Research Hospital. And Captain Twig's team were playing for the Atlanta Children's Day Shelter. All of them are getting donations, right? It was just based on the seating, how much went to which one. But every single one of those is getting a donation. It's a good day.
It's a good day.
It's a good day.
Always a good day.
It's a great day. Malum, some final thoughts from you here to wrap up the SMITE Content Creator Cup.
What a fun weekend it was. The games consistently were surprising one way or another. Whether it was the chaos of one, the feeding of one, the comeback arcs and potential, it was all there. But it was just ultimately a fun weekend. And I feel like, I know I said it before, but it just feels like the culmination of what was great about SMITE, and it now opens up the future. It gets everybody ready for what the future is.
Agreed. Hard to beat that, but Gourmet, is there any final thoughts from you before you end the day?
This was a fun event. This was a long event, though.
That's the Yapmiser we were looking for.
I spent a lot of Saturdays and Sundays just sitting on that couch over there watching a lot of SMITE. I think when it started in March, I don't know if we all realized that it would still be going into July. Because there were some delays. There were some things that changed.
It's been months.
It was a living organism that kind of took on its own shape.
We were all the content creator.
But I don't know. It's been really cool. And being able to kind of have this, fan send-off for Season 11.
Yeah, agreed.
And in a way for SMITE 1, right? Because, now it's, SMITE 2. That's what we're looking forward to, August, and more, weekend playtests whenever they all end up happening. And so, being able to kind of enjoy that with the community and, with content creators and streamers and the chat and just kind of hang out. I mean, half the time we were sitting over there, I had chat sitting in my lap. It was really fun to talk to them.
Important.
Akin to streaming. So it's just been, I don't know, it's been a blast.
It's a really close community. The Season 10 Worlds was unbelievable, right? And so to be able to have something to bridge that gap between end of Worlds and SMITE 2, which is just around the corner, was really amazing. Yeah, I was happy to be here for the full trudge of the SMITE Content Creator
Every
Cup.
single weekend, just grinding this guy.
Well, it was a long day, but it was a fun day. I was so happy to be back and casting with you guys. Malum, it's been a pleasure, and it will continue to be a pleasure. Excited to work with you a little bit
100%.
more. Gourmizer, happy to be back with you. Thanks, everyone at home, for tuning into the SMITE Content Creator Cup. Congrats to Team Ruedy for winning it and all the other charities who we were playing for here this weekend. And just remember, tell someone you love them, give someone a hug. SMITE community, we love you all. We will see you very, very soon. Keep your eyes online for more information about SMITE 2, all the great stuff that's coming down the pipeline, and we'll see you then. Bye.
Made in Georgia.